Good loot.bet. You can utilize them right here, right now. GAMBIT youngsters, it's that T side to start. Pretty typical pistol round setup towards the B bomb site. Just setting up. It's Nafani on utility duty in existence. They're throwing a spanner in the works. 3 players in connector. Nobody even on this B site. And Shiro here to spot. Gets that initial information and falls back. But GAMBIT youngsters, this is a fairly open road. Uxie may be lucky to drop that bomb. And there's a second. Hobbit also drops. And existence can now try and pile drive these final Ts. It's just Axel versus 3. Who hits a couple of beautiful headshots, to be fair to him, but he's got a lot more work to be done. Has to double it up from 2 to 4, and with the bomb dropped all the way out in the open, existence, they can wait for this to go down in a way, and Hector's doesn't even need to. Triple kill, quick, snappy stuff with the USPS. Lovely jubbly, that's the pistol round going existence's way. See how important that first frag is that he finds. Drops the bomb, Inters goes with it. Lovely conversion onto the second man Hobbit as well. Nothing really GAMBIT youngsters could have done about that one. They'd already utilized their smoke onto the site. I'd love to see somebody try and get that bomb down. But is it even possible when you've got 4 players just pretty much sat upon you? I don't really think so. Just pistols for GAMBIT youngsters here in second. Nothing really to use and utilize. No Kevlar, no investment. I would say no chance, but I've watched these players play CS too much. If they can overwhelm perhaps this MP9 of Refresh, there is a slight opportunity that they can get out onto A. Depends if they check this corner. They do have a triple man stack lying in wait for them. This is not going to be pretty. GAMBIT youngsters back to walk into the blender. Only 1 frag for their troubles. I don't think that these Glocks can do all too much more. Maybe if they can land just a single shot onto Hector's. There's the opportunity to find 2/3 kills. I don't think that's going to happen as of this point. Axel so low on HP. Stuck away on long with this Glock. And the bomb dropped a million miles away in the danger zone. Maybe just discussing what the tactic is going to be in the third. It's a good time to take maybe a little impromptu timeout to get all of the ideas in your head, get it well versed, know exactly what everybody's doing. You've got that new in-game leader thrown into the mix as well, so that's a bit of the difference maker. And no opportunity to find that second frag. Nicely hiding away Hector's there. He was the only man really in red HP who could fall foul to that Glock. Existence nicely takes quite a convincing round. 2-0, and the opportunity for this money. Can I boulder away? Yes, to the $1,500 to $2,000 mark. Whereas GAMBIT youngsters, this will be their first buy in this series. All AK-47s for the Kazakhstani squad. Of course, we've got a couple of Russians thrown into the mix as well. I really do like this boost from existence. This gives you such a big advantage, whereas GAMBIT youngsters will probably be looking onto the B bomb site for those boosts actually on the double boxes behind those paper-thin wooden walls. You're not usually looking towards connector at that point. There's lots of different funky angles to check, and I think you will be prioritizing water at that point. So it's a good opportunity to rack in 1 kill. I think that boost, they've actually dismounted it and gone elsewhere, as GAMBIT youngsters take very slow control outside. Quite the meticulous T side on this GAMBIT squad. You'll be seeing them take their time quite the bit. Not afraid to turn up the speed when it's really needed, but that's exactly why. Quickly fragging Refresh. Felt like he needed to take a risk onto long. Gets punished for it. And with 45 seconds to their name, GAMBIT youngsters just creeping closer, taking lots of map control here. They could very easily go back to the B bomb site with Axel just holding this down. I guess he's waiting for a flank. I think the A is definitely being contested. There are a couple of rifles towards this side of the equation. And with the flash coming through, that's an AK retrieved and a second for Nodios. The nade goes over the top just to keep him alive for as long as possible. And the support is there. The swing comes through, but Shiro doesn't drop. Existence, they've got all of the information. That Molotov's perfect. Don't think Hobbit can even peek through that one. Along with that nade combination, Shiro gone. And this round with it, Hobbit just needs to realistically save. And there's actually an opportunity that he would have went down after time. Does lose the AK, gets the loss bonus. That is 3-0 for Existence. And a technical pause. That's what we're hoping to see, of course. It's online CS. You'd be plagued with a couple of techs every single time, perhaps. We've been pretty lucky as of late, to be honest. Sometimes you get a little tech, sometimes you don't. I am looking towards the Twitch chat. I am all on my lonesome here today, so you can keep me company with a question or two at times. Especially during lulls such as this, where, yeah, realistically, 3 rounds in, there's maybe not as much to talk about as if this was like a 14-15 barn burner. You'd be expecting me to maybe do some deep analysis into the last couple of rounds, but realistically, there's not really much to talk about. Gambit just losing that first pistol. Of course, that first rifle round as well. They'll be forced onto probably a half buy in this fourth, where they don't really have too much to use. 3-0, clearly a decent start. We'd hope that Existence isn't plagued by tech issues in this particular series. Of course, we've got quite a lengthy delay as well, so when I ask for questions, maybe we'll already be back into the match at that point. So I guess we've casted a lot of Gambit youngsters recently, especially me. I've been on the mic for a lot of their specific matches. I've been pretty impressed with what they bring to the table, to be honest with you. And when it comes to Existence, I haven't seen them nearly as much. I think maybe even the last time, I think I've casted this roster just a few times, but the last time I casted the Existence banner, it was under the old Spanish roster. Yes, they've played in a couple of these weeks in the Eden Arena Multivibes, but yeah, on my screen, I can actually see only week 10 played, to be honest. And apart from that, a couple of qualifiers as well. So just stepping into the mix as ESL Pro League gets fired up and some of the teams heading over there for a little bit. Of course, we're seeing the resurgence of this Tier 1 scene after the player break comes to a close. Nevertheless, back into this action. Will, of course, be a full buy for Existence. Let's see how their money is sat, because these have been a couple of fairly convincing rounds. Gambit youngsters not really doing a hell of a lot of damage. And as the favorites, that's something that they certainly have to be piping in sometime soon. It might not be this round, considering no body armor, just a couple of upgraded pistols, even scared of the Molotov there. Remember, with that Kevlar, they do so much damage. Fairly just slow map control towards the fountain. An Existence giving absolutely nothing away. Hunkering down on this B-bomb site. 3 players just lying in wait. You've, of course, got the double set piece over towards A of Refresh and Hector's. But Existence really just not giving anything away whatsoever right now. No aggression, not even rummaging into toilets to check the fountain area. This is sometimes dangerous if you play this sort of a style in the rifle rounds, but up against pistols, you know, Gambit youngsters aren't going to have a lot of utility. You're probably not worried about a set execute in a round like this. So I really don't mind this passivity that we're seeing on the server. Shiro's the first man to go hunting, of course, with the deagle in hand. He might just catch a fish. I don't know if Refresh is going to give away a little too much. Exposes a shoulder. Shiro can't take him away. The Deagles do creep closer, and there is Hobbit finding a first frag. Shiro, he's so damn close with that Deagle, isn't he? Straight into B nonetheless. The bomb has been isolated towards the T-spawn area. And Queen just stuck on this site. It's going to be challenged by Hobbit's Deagle once again. 2 quick kills for the captain, as they will now finally challenge Nodios. And there's a tertiary headshot. That's lovely stuff. With the rifles holding Bay over at A. The unarmored Gambit youngsters side won't be able to get this bomb down, and that's a real problem for them. No loss bonus for Inters, no loss bonus for Hobbit. Means they don't really have too much to work with here in the 5th. I can't really understate how big a problem that actually is. Four 0. Things start to get a little more dangerous. I guess Inters, he's forced onto the Galil instead. Everybody else with a fairly favorable buy here. Hobbit had loads and loads of money, so no need to panic in terms of his utility, although he has already thrown out a flash and a smoke. You'd like to see them keep at least a couple of smokes alive for any sort of maybe afterplant situation, but even taking the site, you usually do need a smoke grenade or two if you're going onto the B bomb site, and realistically over towards A to section off bank, that CT spawn area. You need to keep some utility in hand, and GAMBIT youngsters have thrown the majority of it out just to get toilets control. But costly, to be perfectly honest, with a minute left. Four 0. As GAMBIT youngsters just hold. Absolutely no aggression once again. Yes, they're rummaging into toilets, but in the context of overpass, it really isn't even in the upper echelon of aggressive strats that you can run. Refresh might actually get caught out by this one, but no, he finds the frag instead. There's finally the opening for Shiro onto the B bomb site, but still 2 to find. And Axel, beautiful double entry, puts things back in contention. There's a Molotov to throw a spanner in the works, but with the smoke down and away, right over the top, Hector's finds another one, and it's all down to Shiro, the man with the master plan, AWP in hand. He's going to go hunting again towards the CT spawn, holding in a very precarious spot to dig out. I think they'll be expecting him towards shorts right now. I don't know if they'll be... Oh, no, they definitely heard the scope right there. Hector's misses one, traded shots over, and there's a defuse instantly coming through. Shiro outmaneuvered and misses that first shot. That's the one that matters. The nade doesn't quite chase him down, but that's a 5th for existence. Beautiful stuff there on the retake. As soon as they hear that scope, no second guessing, they react right on that bomb for Hector's. The cover is beautiful, and Shiro misses the crucial shot. I don't know if there was enough time there to get the secondary shot off, even if he did nail the first. But Shiro unable to get the job done. Uncharacteristically in a 1 versus 2, it feels like a lot of the time he wins all of them. Starting this series off slower. 3 kills, nobody really standing out for GAMBIT youngsters in the first 5. Existence, it is that AWP of Hector's. Big stuff with this AWP. Bit of aggression thrown in for the first time for Existence. Just peering through. That's Refresh gone. Wanting to take a more passive stance now instead of over-aggressing to trade that frag. These 5 versus 4s are very possible, especially when you have the star power of players like Hector's, Hooksy, Nodius on your team. You're not going to be too stretched thin until you find yourselves in a 5 versus 3, a more difficult scenario. That's a little bit of information granted. I'd have loved to see Hooksy actually respond off the back of it, but I guess the CTs don't really have that info to punish. Jumping up, the feet spotted. And GAMBIT youngsters expect them to pre-fire this right monster corner. Queenix has been sitting in this pretty advantageous position a lot of the time. In this particular circumstance, he's been completely spotted. And yet, surely you should have expected the pre-fire to come through. Axel not expecting him to hold up the line, leaving Hooksy all on his lonesome. Yes, he's got a bit of support from Hector's here. But now the sole defender of this B site, with both players chipping in. That's such a quick scope. And Shiro's history as well. What a lovely performance. Secures another triple kill, up to 6 for Existence. And GAMBIT youngsters thrown back into the dumpster. Maybe it's time for a tactical timeout. Really not too sure. That is one that you should be winning 7 days of the week. You've got the crossfire, the pincer moving through. Hobbit. Maybe not enough time to secure that shot, but Shiro expecting the right side of that pillar to be in contention. There is the attack. That's a really nice 1 versus 2 there. Definitely a confidence boost. But being 11-0, do you really need any more? Maybe you could give them a chance. Now 6-0. Back to rifles for GAMBIT youngsters. The problem Existence will have is that loss bonus is fully built up for the T's. GAMBIT can practically buy in every round if they need to, if they get that bomb down. If they don't, they can go for a half buy and then a full buy. Just investing into deagles, armor, little bit of utility here and there, and then the ability to get out the rifles in the next. And that's finally an opening frag onto Hector's. Biting off a little more than he can chew. Shiro, for my money, still the best AWPer in this server. Despite the last 6 rounds. Hector's definitely a less notable name on the international scene right now. Powerful angle, both shadows spotted. And Inter's unable to trade. That's a big problem for GAMBIT youngsters. They don't have any third member over towards long. Only Shiro, and he's incredibly late to the party. Misses the first shot and gets dinked before he finds the second. So lots of damage dealt and forced back and away into more passive lines. Three versus 3, though. That's 6-0 on the board. This is one that GAMBIT youngsters definitely need to convert despite the HP deficit. Phoenix playing this position that I saw Rocking actually sit within for years on this Outlaw side. He, to be honest, kind of sold this to me as one of the better positions. You're pretty disguised up against that railing. Phoenix doesn't get a lot done with it. As the solo B defense, I definitely prefer more passive play here to prevent that bomb from going down, especially with only 7 seconds now on the clock before that C4 does go away. And a tough, tricky retake for these final 2 CTs. The flash over the top, and here comes the conversion. Axel at least able to find the first, and there's GAMBIT youngsters finally on the board. 6-1. But are they done? Remember, boys and girls, you can go and check out Hellcase. There are some coupon codes on your screen. Malta V for that bonus money, and then Malta V15 for your 15% refill bonus. Obviously, gamble responsibly, do all that good stuff. Be over 18. Don't break the law. Right here, I didn't actually notice how low the Existence economy actually was. A couple of dominant rounds at the start, but GAMBIT youngsters have started chipping in with at least damage. And that's forced the CTs onto this really awkward buy here in round number 8, where it's not a full force. It's also not a half buy where they can invest into the next. At the 90-second mark, this definitely looks like a speedier round, challenging the UMP to start. Shiro not checking these barrels, and all of the damage is coming through. That's 3 fast frags, and they're all being shot away. Hooks see a fully blind shot through that smoke. And Nafni versus all 5. This has completely fallen apart at the seams. GAMBIT youngsters, this really should have been the second, but maybe even a flawless round. No, Dios, there's the swing and the 7th. Rifles at the ready to be retrieved. 3 AKs picked up, that AWP as well. What a change of pace and a tactical timeout to solidify it. This is where things start to get really tricky. 7-1. Down on rounds, down on luck. And the opportunity for a big double-digit half right now. That was a really wobbly round. Gambit obviously didn't have a good read of the economy right there. I guess they expected that to be a more full buy and just a usual defense. They walked into somewhat of a B stack. 4 players towards that side of the map. Existence, they were primed and ready to deal with that exact B rush. And it's Gambit themselves forced back onto the half buy. A couple of sets of Kevlar, Shiro and Hobbit, they don't even have that. Just some upgraded pistols to get us started here in the 9th. Likely going to be 8-1 here early on Overpass. Realistically, I thought this was going to be a 2-0 to Gambit Youngsters getting into this one. I'm usually the Grim Reaper of predictions. Get it wrong quite a lot. Still 7-1 on the board, and well, there's the AWP going down first. Refresh next in line, already being tagged, now fragged. The bomb could easily go down within the safety of this A bomb site, and this is, once again, quite a tricky retake. Shiro's got his prized AWP back in his hands, and this might be the opportunity to take a second for Gambit Youngsters. What do Existence decide to do? The money is so low, of course, with only 1,400 lost bonus to their name. They're not going to get the buy in the next round regardless. Maybe if they were to save 3 rifles, but that's against unarmored pistols, you can't really elect to do so, especially when you do have a couple of defuse kits to boot. Nodios, he's hitting all of the headshots. Inter's first to drop as well. Now Shiro has to hold up the angle on his lonesome. A big whiff from the CIS sniper. I don't know if they've got enough time to defuse. They absolutely do. That's an 8th. Existence still on winning ways. They cut that one close. That is just such a beautiful triple combination from Nodios there. Pretty much, that's almost a lockdown. Even without body armor on a couple of players, Gambit Youngsters, the majority of the time, especially with Shiro as the saving grace, just that AWPer holding toilets at bay, you'd be expecting Existence to get absolutely nothing out of that retake scenario. Now be back onto pistols. Pretty shaky buy. Really unsure. Something seems to be a little amiss with this Gambit Youngsters roster right now. They seem to be missing their shots. Shiro doesn't, well, just isn't having his same impact. Only 6 kills in the first 9 rounds. Not really comfortable with some of the whiffs that I've seen off of him. Realistically, minute left. He now needs to step up. Quickly through. Hector's instantly drops. He's been getting aggressive and hasn't actually found a frag in 4 or 5 rounds right now. And Gambit Youngsters, a great triple entry. That should really just secure their second on the board. There's almost no opportunity for a retake. And even Existence aren't going to go in for this one. Wanting to save the pair of AKs. Still a scary CT side, but realistically, they haven't got a hell of a lot of money on their backs. So this is going to be kind of the last chance saloon for their economy. They will get a buy in the next. You know that it's pretty much a guaranteed force on the final 3. Hector's can pick up an AK-47. Well, not an AK-47, of course, but an M4 with some Kevlar, a nade here and there. Of course, Hooksy can drop away, maybe even the AWP to Hector's. This will be a fairly full buy, all things considered. All 5 rifles, and then a bit of a lack of utility on a pair of players. But this buy doesn't look too bad. Here comes the boost. At 8-2, this is where you want to be finding any little advantage, any trick that you've got up your sleeve, you'd be very prepared for. And Shiro's going to spot absolutely nothing. Nil point, as they say in France. At the 90-second mark, you kind of need to dismount at this point just to gain a little bit of map control towards this A bomb site especially. Yes, Nodios, he's lying in wait towards long, and they do have this double set play. Refresh playing the anti-flash, also peering into toilets. And where's the secondary flashbang? It's got to come over the top. There's Shiro to provide, and the kills both come through. Anthony finds both of them. GAMBIT youngsters. It's a nice little execution onto long. They were definitely ready for that one. They've also got just a pincer of Axel outside the B bomb site. He's actually waiting for the rotations, for any saves that come through early. I'm sure he might even stay towards this side of the map, to be honest. This full rotate has come in for existence. So this is maybe their only saving grace in this 11th. Peering into toilets, just playing around these smokes. And Hooksy is going to be the first man to receive any contact. Queenix instantly drops. They need to be hyper-aware, and Hobbit absolutely is. Now to challenge Hector's. He's been good, but that's his first frag in quite a long time. They are going to challenge him. Quite the secondary shot, but it's not good enough. GAMBIT youngsters up to 3. Existence still on 8, but their economy in ruins after that one. A couple of successes. That breaks the bank. And what looked to be quite the flawless half. I won't say it's anything but what looked to be pretty much a guaranteed double digits could all fall apart in the last couple. And this is what GAMBIT youngsters do. They grind you down. Yes, if you take an advantage early, there's every opportunity that they'll do it the hard way with rifles. That's what they've done in this particular map. They were significantly down, 8-1. The economy was half built up for existence. Maybe this was even, I think it was 7-0. It was 6-0, in fact. Production just helping me out there. Just give me a little lifeline. Eight to 3, and with the pistols at the ready, existence. The standard stuff, to be honest, from this CT side. Holding 4 towards A. I guess GAMBIT youngsters are walking into it again, but this isn't as heavy as a buy as it was before, and Hector's only finding 1 for his troubles. He's a little bit more out of the situation. The AK unretrievable right at the top of long. I don't even think Nodios can grab hold of that one. And without the Kevlar on 2 of these 3 final players, GAMBIT youngsters, they're chomping at the bit to take their 4th. And realistically, this is a bit of over-expenditure from the existence side. They haven't kept their economy in check. With Nodios even buying a Deagle in this round, I don't know what he's going to actually have in the next. $2,400, I think, going into the next round. And realistically, that's not enough. He'll have $3,400 in his bank account. Queenix just 3,000. Or 4,000, I should say. Get your maths right. Hector's even less. Like, nobody has any real money going into the next on this existence side. For my money, you either have to fully invest or fully save. They've gone somewhere in the middle, which is kind of the danger point here, which pretty much ensures you don't get a full buy for 2 rounds in a row. Eight to 3 on the board. Now 8-4. Seems like as soon as Shiro got fired up with that AWP, things have become far harder for existence. And Hector's has gone a little bit quiet. I know that he's topping the table with 14 frags, but as of round number 6 or 7, he already had 11. And as of this point, I think 2 of those 3 frags that he's found in the last 7 rounds have been exits, have been, pretty useless kills. And now existence have to save again. I guess the half buy means that they get an absolutely full buy in 14, but it's nothing really to brag about. GAMBIT getting to the 5, 6, or 7 round mark could feasibly be enough. We know that their CT side, even on a map like this that they haven't picked, is pretty damn decent. And there's the road, the path back into this first map. Pistols at the ready, but Inters does keep them temporarily at bay with a Molotov. And the USPSs don't really get a lot of work done. Just trying to find as much damage as possible. Of course, economic damage onto GAMBIT youngsters doesn't really mean a lot right now. Their money's already built up. They can certainly buy into these last 2 rounds. X6TENCE, the grand prize, the holy grail, is stealing away an AK-47, and I don't think that that's realistically possible with this configuration. GAMBIT youngsters are very nicely set up. They're even watching for this boost. That's a lovely conversion there, just to ensure that they don't even drop anybody. There's no madness, no tinkering, no chaos. They just take this one away. 5 on the board, pretty much a guarantee as of that eco. And when you look at the X6TENCE economy, they didn't really need too much cash to actually go for a bite here in the 13th. So I wonder if an extra deagle here and there would have been enough. Maybe they just want the full buy against GAMBIT youngsters. Hey guys, let's solidify 9, 10 rounds. Let's get further onto the board. But this half still has the opportunity for a little bit of chaos here for the CT side. If this goes back, reverts 8-7, then I might even say that GAMBIT youngsters hold a very narrow lead despite the heavy loss over in the first half. Of the first half. At the 90-second mark, they're just playing very regimented Counter-Strike. This is great from GAMBIT youngsters. They're waiting for the pushes to come through. X6TENCE, they're feeling the heat. They feel the need to go for these aggressive tendencies that GAMBIT youngsters are finally starting to punish. Right in your face, there's the trade, and even though they do lose refresh on the first, X6TENCE are now forced back into more passive lines in the 4v4. Where GAMBIT youngsters can thin out this defense and try and take advantage of one of these bomb sites, playing safety in numbers, perhaps towards B, where only Queenix is holding, and realistically hasn't been the most solid defender of this B site. This was the initial opening that GAMBIT youngsters found. Maybe they've pinpointed a weakness. At the 40-second mark, Hooksy, oh, he does spot out Nafni there. That's the flank taken care of, and that should speed things up towards this B site. No Dios lying in wait. Still the opportunity for quite a convincing round. Leaving Axel all on his own, having to push into this double set piece over by B. And that Molotov isn't going to do too much. There's nobody standing behind the barrels. He's going to try and jump all the way over. There's the double play coming through. An X6TENCE up to 9 rounds on the CT side. Finally, a little bit of hope here for the defenders. One away from double digits, though. Ready and waiting to try and get the job done with the M4 and more aggression. This really hasn't worked out for X6TENCE. Remember, earlier in the map, I complimented them on their very passive, pensive style, holding away on these bomb sites, turtling down and waiting for GAMBIT youngsters to maneuver their way into what was commonly stack after stack. This time over towards the B site once again. The door for connector has been completely closed, and Queenix drops again. Playing a bit too aggressive on B. I'd love to see him just watching and waiting for these pushes to come through and allow the rotations to pile drive in. And thankfully for X6TENCE, I think this half is coming to an end. GAMBIT youngsters should be able to solidify 6. Smokes at the ready, and there shouldn't be a lot to be done about this one. Yes, Inter's on low HP, But with the double AK-47s holding down the line, and that smoke grenade doesn't fall in time, this is an impossible scenario for Hector's, who's going for no scope after no scope. He's about to get blasted out of the server, surely. Not even really making a valiant effort in for this one. This is another shot, and there he goes, down 9-6. Well, here are your odds. Existence going from slight underdogs on Overpass to slight favorites in the second half. I think this second pistol is going to be really important right here. Just the opportunity to get ahead and solidify a lead. Let's see what they can bring to the table here in this T-pistol round. I'm eager to see what this strategy has in store. Yes, they're just rummaging for information. Hector's aggressively trying to find this all on his lonesome. He's got nobody to trade him out if he dies. So this is definitely a high-risk, high-reward strategy. But probably not as high reward as it would have been with, of course, a Glock backing him up. Finally, just tightening up this configuration over towards A. A minute left. Yes, there's plenty of time on the boards, but what is Existence going to do? The bomb's still held back if they do want to go for the rotate, but I think that Nodios is going to be in full control of that one. He'll be heading over to this pointy letter as well, where two Gambit Youngsters defenders are waiting. Axel going to be the initial prod and prompt. They've spotted out, of course, the first, but not enough to go for a full rotate. Just putting the third man towards this side of the action. Nafani about to join the party. As Hobbit and Axel have to hold this one down. Corner not checked. Axel only able to find one. Now the opportunity to plant this bomb as Queenix finds another. Shutting away defender after defender. Now the alpha plant positions have to be established. As Shiro Inters want to peek and poke in from bank, but can they cash in on this retake? I'm not really sure. With 4 members alive and Existence giving them nothing to play with. This is beautiful. They're just littling second after pressure second off this bomb, and all of the kills coming through. Nafni, although having that defuse kit, is going to be completely counted out. Nothing to be done about this one. That'll be a 10th on the board here for Existence. There's no opportunity to defuse that. Nafni will probably even go down here. Pretty flawless round, all things considered, for Existence. I love the pace that they prompted towards that A bomb site. Hector's, yes, he was the first man in, but not going too speedy or aggressive and giving his life away early. Nobody able to take advantage of that for Gambit. And realistically, they got so close to that A bomb site, and Hobbit, they were already on top of him before he was even able to fire off more than one shot. He did hit it, but nonetheless, the trade came thick and fast, 10-6, and now the advantage once again going into the second half. If Gambit Youngsters lose this force buy, there is an opportunity for this scoreline to go 11-6, perhaps even 12-6 here today. What a one-sided scoreline that would be. Still an opportunity. Gambit Youngsters, they're one of the most dangerous teams in this tournament when it comes to their pistols. Perhaps not in this specific circumstance. Instantly eviscerated. 2 players instantly fall. And Existence don't even seem to want to prompt the issue. They know that that will force the rotates in. They want to get the information. They don't need to take any risks with over a minute left. It's also the Molotov. It's just relentless, isn't it? A lot of teams would have just pile drive this B bomb site, taken the gunfights, but Existence, they're using all of the utility. They're taking this one incredibly seriously. They know what this round means. And although they're still walking into the stack, They should know that Nafani is lying in wait nice and close. 2 quick kills. The Deagles starting to do a hell of a lot of damage. And Axel is still watching and waiting for another. Shiro gets taken down, leaving it all on the man with the golden gun. But it's not going to happen. 11-6. Existence survive. And this should be an easy 12th here. No force buy surely from GAMBIT youngsters here. Look at their money. It's sat below the $3,000 mark. I've got to be honest, this map has certainly not gone the way I thought it would. Realistically, I thought GAMBIT youngsters at this point would probably have a fairly decisive lead. But something is definitely amiss with this GAMBIT side. I wonder if we get onto more even territory. We go onto map 2 here today. That'll, of course, be Mirage. It's GAMBIT youngsters' pick, and one that Existence are incredibly shaky on. We actually talked about this map pool and how strong it is for GAMBIT. The ability to target pick against your opponents is really, really strong. And here, putting Existence then on their 2nd worst map in the whole pool. Just knowing that you're confident on every single affair. That's why GAMBIT youngsters have such a high win rate, as they will chance so many maps against their opponents. These pistols are actually doing a lot of damage, so cut the small talk and back to these rifles. Finally clearing up. 4 quick kills. There's the 5th. Up to 12 rounds for Existence. Looking for just 4 more to finish. Precariously close to this finish line. When GAMBIT need a whole 10. Existence sitting on double the rounds of this GAMBIT youngsters side. This really hasn't been a great performance from the Kazakhstani crew. And how will Existence decide to try and finish this one off? Maybe with a bit of speed towards the B site. GAMBIT youngsters are actually doing a good job at containing this setup. You've got Shiro nice and aggressive through the toilets. But what was that shot? Up close and personal. Using that AWP like a battering ram. Straight in both Axel and Nafani's face. Hobbit wants to go right over the top of this smoke. I don't think he's going to be able to find too much. Smoke extinguishes. And the shots peppered through means he has to be very careful about this particular angle. Five versus 3, one that Existence should be able to easily clean up. And towards the long side of the map, Shiro, yes, he's lying in wait towards this A-bomb site. But is he good enough? He's had quite a slow game today. And he might actually be gesturing back for the retake towards the B site. I guess this is a double-edged sword. They can save these final trio of rifles if it all goes amiss. Which is exactly what's going to happen right now. Existence, they've been given the golden strategy, a free open A bomb site. They'll use all of the utility nonetheless. There's no way on earth that GAMBIT youngsters will be going for this retake here. They want to save the double M4, that AWP as well. They'll probably pick up a pair of MP9s around it, considering their scoreline is so polarized. And here, Existence, they're doing a fantastic job. Shiro also eliminated. That's the sniper out of the equation. And things just go from bad to worse. What can GAMBIT do to turn the tide? They haven't even taken a tactical timeout on this CT half. I feel like even they believe this one's a little bit over. It's very, very easy to criticize. I've got to be honest. When you see all of the star-studded performances, record-breaking for this tier of Counter-Strike, was it 29 series in a row or something insane? The events that they've actually won, you look at their first places. First place in the Malta Vibes Week 5, 9-5-2, the Control Play League, the Eden Arena Malta Vibes Week 4, the 9-5-1. There's 5 first places over the course of literally 1 month. That's really impressive. I don't even need to say that. But then when you make a roster change and your results aren't first place, gold medal, gold medal, gold medal, then you start to scratch your head and think, why did this happen? That's the issue. 13-6. And without that AWP saved, GAMBIT youngsters decide not to go for the force buy here on the 20th, thinking that it might be curtains if they do so. Instead, it's the Deagle, doesn't connect with the shot. Of course, with the AWP right there, I'm pretty sure Hooksy is history. That's Counter-Strike for you. (13-6). And this looks to just roll out of control here for GAMBIT youngsters. I think their mind might be set to Mirage. They've been completely outmaneuvered once again. Existence just moving right into this open B bomb site. How many times this map have they walked into a free bomb site? It's quite a few times, at least 3 or 4 this half. I think it's 3. I think this is the 3rd time that that's happened, which is pretty impressive. But 14 a guarantee. And GAMBIT youngsters are going to have just 2 more opportunities before this map comes to a close. Closing is often the hardest part of a map like this. Maybe that's placebo, I'm not sure. But it definitely seems like some teams have a bit of a mental block getting to that magic 16. They give away a couple of rounds before they lose. Does certainly seem to be the case. GAMBIT youngsters definitely have the building blocks to bring this back. But as I said, something is definitely amiss. They're not playing with their same style. Shiro, 10 kills. I know he's not topping the tables or anything, but for him, that's just not good enough. Realistically, Hector's has been overwhelmingly winning this AWP duel. He's 19-7. He absolutely is. And everybody up to double digits for Existence. This is a team performance. Everybody showing up to the party. And GAMBIT youngsters are not invited. Go the initial Molotovs down, a little bit of aggression to get things going around number 21. Now forced back. And Existence don't feel the need to force the issue whatsoever. They've got GAMBIT youngsters exactly where they want them. And to be honest, GAMBIT have been making the mistakes. They've been playing quite an aggressive CT side. It's being punished by not just Hector's, but the whole crew. And once again, flashes out. They get a little bit of information towards the B site. This isn't going to give them an overwhelming amount. It's not like Existence are prompted right outside of A and GAMBIT can go for the retake or the rotate. It's game time for Axel. Quite commonly, a fairly powerful angle considering you can spot the shadow. There's the headshot with no response. The AWP whiffs. And there's a Molotov just to force him out into the open. Hector's takes a lot of damage to that. 36 points of health before spotting Shiro. Just gets worse and worse, doesn't it, for GAMBIT? Feels like Hector's is dead to rights. He's being burnt to a crisp. The peak can easily go through. He's got a smoke, but can't find it. Scrambling for cover. And now only one defender over on the B side of things, and nobody else taking complete care of Inters. This is all falling apart. The bomb goes down, and now another tough retake for GAMBIT youngsters. Trying to pipe in the shots, but spotting absolutely nothing. Nodia's getting aggressive once again. Existence are spread out all across this site. How are Gambit youngsters going to be able to bail them out of position? That's the big question. Maybe they won't. Axel just staying put over by long. They're not even going for the retake right now. And look at the money for existence. Exits mean absolutely nothing. Nafany, he doesn't even have a defuse kit, so there's no opportunity to ninja. No madness thrown into the mix. And even finding 2 kills don't really matter. I guess he's got the double up setup if he wants it. Instead, it's the AK. But what a terrible round. 15-6. Gambit youngsters being completely busted on overpass. Good pick for existence. They've capitalized beautifully. They've got 9 opportunities to finish. And when you look at their string of results, they're a bit of a... They've not really caught my eye too much here in the international scene, but a win against Mad Lions in week 10, that was in the group stage. Heretics they've beaten. Wins against Namiga, Honoris, who I would expect them to beat. And before this week, not a massive tier of opposition that they've taken big results against. Here, they can maybe add Gambit youngsters to the tally. Another big scalp taken down. And we've got to commend Hector's. His AWPing did go a little quiet at the end of their CT side, but he stepped up again on the terrorist half, finding all of these opening kills. This time it's Inters dropping. He's had a stinking map. 6-15. Gambit youngsters completely falling apart. Let's see if they can at least put a couple on the board before we go on to Mirage. Really don't see any opportunity for a comeback here in our first map of the quarterfinals. And maybe we're opening the door for an existence 2-0. Shiro certainly hasn't been himself today. He's been missing shot after shot. And despite being on 10 kills, that definitely doesn't tell the whole story. He's been in position to find at least double that. And usually he would be. Gambit youngsters seem to live and die off of his star-studded AWPing. And he needs to hit a couple right now. There at least is the first. Molotov's just forcing everybody out of position. They can get up close and personal to Shiro. They have got the saving grace of this second man, and the rotate fully on and through means potentially a 7th round confirmed for Gambit youngsters. And they need 8 in a row to bring it back to OT. Slowly starting to crawl and creep this one closer. (15-7). Still a little glimmer of hope in the distance, I guess. I do think that this map is over, though. Especially just the weaker performance that Gambit youngsters have brought to the table, and existence have been taking advantage of that at every single account. Nafany getting aggressive to try and find this first frag. Not going to be flashed off, but the instant trade comes through. Nodios has actually been a really key player thus far today, and the no-scope's not going to connect. I think that just gives you a bit of a tell into the mindset that's been employed in this series. And once again, that bomb will go down and away. Hector's, he's just defending with this AWP. Watching both players away from short. Phoenix takes a lot of damage, but they've still got Hector's running amok. Axel playing within this smoke to try and continue this series. They should know exactly where he's playing from. Hector's has the angle completely locked into place. That's a beautiful Molotov. Might actually take Queenix completely down. And with Hector stood out in the open, this 1v1 now becomes a little touch and go. Axel trying to creep closer. Hector's is just staying alive for so long. Finally missing the shot. Pistol out, but it's the no-scope to finish. 16-7. And just tremendous stuff from the beginning to the end for Team Existence. That is just a beautifully played map. Just amazing. That is absolutely great. And realistically, I don't think Gambit youngsters brought their 100% all to the table. We saw mistakes that we don't often see from this squad. From start to finish, Shiro seemed to be missing all of the AWP shots. Nobody really stepping up to fill his shoes and having real big problems on overpass. Don't worry, they've got Mirage coming up next. That's the second map of the day, and of course, Gambit youngsters pick. So we will take a very short break, but don't go very far because we'll be back after this. Welcome back, everybody. It's the Eden Arena Malta Vibes time once again. We're live with the quarter-finals as they're just about to get heated up with X6TENCE versus GAMBIT youngsters. We're already one map in and a bit of a surprising result over on Overpass. A 16-7. I was going to say 16-6, but they did get one more there on the first map of the day. We go into Mirage next, which is more home turf for GAMBIT youngsters. And more notably, it's less home turf for Team X6TENCE. They've got a 0% win rate on this particular map. They don't have any real notable results of it as of late. They've only played it once in the last 3 months. So realistically, just a 16-7 against Heroic. I think we're expecting this map to go the distance to all 3. But considering X6TENCE don't really have a lot of maps to pick and choose from, we don't really know how they're going to look on it. We've only got that one series to go off, and perhaps you're expected to lose quite dominantly to Heroic, literally the champions VSL1 Cologne anyway. That was recently in the IEM New York 2020 close qualifier, which actually had the opportunity to cast as well. That was a lot of fun CS. This series, yeah, very one-sided, to be perfectly honest. A lot of those close qualifiers don't really go the distance. You do have polarized teams. Some of those invite teams then just step into the mix then in the close qualifiers and take out some of these open qualifier rosters. X6TENCE, I guess they were maybe one of them, but I think they've got a lot of potential. They did show a lot of potential in that first map of the day. And here on Mirage, they do have a good opportunity to take it over the top. Here is the breakdown of those kills. And Shiro, who we'd often see here on this match stats tab, doesn't play a factor in it whatsoever. It was Axel to top the table for GAMBIT youngsters with only 16 kills. That's not very good compared to Hector's, who really did just win the AWP battle from beginning to finish of that series. 23 kills, 9 deaths. What a wild rating as well. And just a lot of impact frags, all things considered. I only really counted 2 or 3 exits from the man from beginning to finish of that whole map. So heavy impact, massive quantity of kills as well. Definitely my MVP for Overpass, and definitely a good job to production for putting his name on the screen as well. Definitely a massively notable player coming through in that first of the day. The big question, though, is can he maintain this star-studded performance against GAMBIT youngsters on Mirage, a map that they're, of course, not as confident on. It's not their solid go-to pick, of course. Overpass, it's a fairly decent team for GAMBIT youngsters, but they did show problems in that first map right there. We can't let that go amiss. Shiro was missing all of his shots. I don't know if they found their groove with Hobbit as of this point. And that's definitely worrying coming into this series and then later in the playoffs. I did take a look at these playoffs a little earlier today. But yeah, they have to face against some real tier 1 opposition up. Either way, we're going into the knife round here for Mirage. It's our second map of the day, and we're getting into the action with this one. I think that knife was already played. Maybe X6TENCE won that one as well. So they get to pick the sides that they start on. It's not as big of an advantage here on Mirage. You can actually get away with playing on the CT or T sides. Let's see what they've got in store for this particular map. I think if this goes to a big 3-mapper, then GAMBIT, yeah, they're right back on the board. They're in their groove. We did say if X6TENCE do win Overpass, that's the only opportunity for them to take this series. And here are the odds. They haven't shifted one bit. GAMBIT youngsters firm favorites here on home territory. Let's see if they can take it home here against the underdogs of X6TENCE. Remember, GAMBIT youngsters were very slight favorites on Overpass as well. So the bettors over at loot.bet, you can go there yourself. If you're over 18, gambling responsibly, do all that own thing. Use your own pocket money. Go to work really hard, like me, just casting a bit of Counter-Strike, just talking about esports, get paid, and then you can spend your money. Don't spend somebody else's money. In fact, 90 seconds and straight into this B site. Inter's low on HP, hitting all of the headshots. His existence, what are they going to do about this retake? A 3 versus 5. Inter's still alive. And realistically, this is a tough one to breach and break, especially with Nafany just tucked away in the back of apartments. The USPS is already retrieved. This is a brick wall existence. How are they going to chisel away at it? I don't really know. A couple of kills coming in. There are 3 fast frags, and Inter is one of the final players left, still on 2 points of health. He's going to find the backtrack angle. That's a lovely flank to secure another, and I don't know if there's a kit on this site for Hector's. He does finally find it, but also the headshot. Shiro ends him. 1-0 for Gambit Youngsters. That's a lovely pistol round just to bring a bit of momentum back in their favor. Straight into the B bomb site, breaching that crossfire, and into staying alive BG style from start to finish. Lovely stuff, and that is the first on the board. Let's see if they can actually capitalize and continue against this 4-spy. Of course, Hector's with the Skate, everybody else, it's a couple of Deagles, pistols all round. Fairly wholesome investment, considering Hector's actually doesn't even have any body armor. He could have purchased some, but he wants that Kevlar early. He wants that AWP in round number 4. That's the big takeaway here. And Gambit Youngsters, yes, they've got plenty of SMGs to tear through the unarmored opponents. I don't know how they'll necessarily fare against the armored deagles. Definite problem makers in a round like this. I like the mid control. Just trying to take advantage over perhaps shorter ranged weaponry, considering they do have a couple of Galils at the ready. Does look like they are going to challenge Hector's, who's got the slimmest of angles to use and utilize, along with 2 other Deagles to hold down the line. They are going to creep closer. There's a 1D finally taken out, and the Sky, oh, it's not connecting with shots. There's finally some damage. Spots out Shiro ducking behind the van once more. That nade does tons of damage, 97 in fact. That almost ends the round in its tracks as Queenix also goes down. 2-0 for Gambit Youngsters. Really convincing around there on the B bomb site. Good utility usage, up close and personal, and able to take it away for number 2. Of course, the full eco on the board for existence in this one. They'll have nothing apart from a couple of flashes here and there, maybe an upgraded pistol. We do see the knives instead. So we get to see how much each of these players have spent on their inventory. That flashy little karambit, definitely my favorite. That's what I want to know from the Twitch chat. What is your favorite Counter-Strike skin? Easy stuff. That's just about the worst molly you can possibly throw. Does block off Shiro initially, but shouldn't have any effect on the round here. No kills going existence's way. 0 damage dealt, and Hobbit on clearance duty. Just pan and brush out to swipe them out of the server. 3-0. Nice convincing stuff to start off for Gambit. And definitely a change of pace after what we saw from map number 1. Overpass, definitely not their saving grace in this series, but that's the beauty of a best of 3. If this was just a BO1, we probably wouldn't have gone to Overpass anyway, to be perfectly honest, considering it's one of Existence's best maps. And Gambit do like to target pick and target ban. Lovely opening shots, but Hector's, he's going to be challenged for a second time. He hasn't spotted the cross from Hobbit, but he's ready and waiting for the second. Beautiful stuff to put Existence back in contention. And that forces Gambit towards this A rotate. They've already got the bomb out towards this site. Still no information towards Palace. Finally, the nade's thrown. That's Inter's going for the peak. Queenix has to be worried about this double prong. The Shiro swings in, gets taken down. That's the A decimated. And Axel towards mid. The opportunity for a very clean round. The CT side of Existence. especially with Axel being taken down to 13 HP. That really does end proceedings. Nothing he can do about this one. Does he decide to go for the full minute save? That's a big question. Be interested to see. I guess he has to. I guess he's got $5,100 in the back pocket. The loss bonus is creeping down to only 1,400 for Gambit youngsters after winning the last couple of rounds. I don't think Existence need to go aggressive on the hunt. Their priority is to keep as many rifles alive as possible, and trying to take this final AK that can be easily repurchased for Axel would be a bit of a mistake. Any player that they lose here is definitely a problem. They do spot him out, so here comes the crunch, and they might actually take him down after time here. Queenix, does fall. That's a big problem. That's an AK gone for the Existence side. More reinvestment needed, and that does thin the economy. What's a problem? They could have saved with 4 here. And Axel still had $5,100 in the reserve, so dying after time wasn't even a big problem maker for the man. 3-1. And now Existence. I guess they're still on the back foot. Winning one more here would likely break the Gambit youngsters' economy, permitting no bomb to go down. Just taking this map control towards the B side of things initially. Inter's prompting into A with a couple of nades, keeping them rotates towards this side of the map. Wanting to walk into any stack at all. Also want to go on a fishing expedition for that early information. Knowing how Existence are poised, making sure they can't take ramp control and get right in behind you is definitely a priority for Inters, especially here. Because he just wants to defend that T-spawn, make sure that no bit of map control is going amiss early. Say Gambit put all 5 players towards B here. That really does isolate their opportunities. They cannot then rotate back towards the A bomb site. But with this map control covered, they can backtrack, go through connector, maybe even the boost into window room. And Refresh is certainly going to get taken to piece here. Oh, no. Definitely looked like Axel was looking to prompt his way through that smoke. But now into the waiting arms of Hector's as it dissipates 2 and almost a 3rd. He even backtracks, taking very little damage. And the AWP is still at the ready. Finally gets taken down. Gambit youngsters with a trio of frags. And Queenix can't do anything about this bomb going down in a way. Instantly drops, leaving Nodius a 1 versus 2 to try and take Gambit youngsters to task. But with the afterplants already posted, he has to dig and wean his way into position. Really nasty situation to be prompted in within. Axel, he's actually going to go for the initial peak. Nafany, he is going to get spotted by the jump. So nobody else knows exactly where he's playing from. There's the secondary pounce. Fanny stays alive. That's the 4th for Gambit youngsters. And I guess Existence's economy is back to this sticky state. No real money to work with. Into sub $3,000 for every single player. And considering Hector's did so much damage here from the ticket booth angle, I'm surprised that Existence are unable to hold in the pieces. If it's only him firing all cylinders, they're going to have a real problem in this series. If he goes quiet, then maybe this could be a dominant map. Initial information given. I don't think Hooksy knows that his position's compromised. So the swing will come through. There are the flashes. Just a pre-fire to take him out. These pistols being dispatched early. Breaks a gap in the defense once again. A gap that was already created by the lack of buy here in round 6. See that Axel is perfectly aware that further aggressive prompts can be coming through. See 5-1 here. Existence seem to like to go for this very passive buy, where they don't invest any body armor. When you actually look into it, I guess Nodios could have really invested a bit of Kevlar, maybe even a Deagle. It might have even left Hector's without the AWP. So you need somebody at this sort of $4,000 mark, even with the loss bonus quite high, just to prompt full utility in. GAMBIT youngsters are walking into the stack of these final 3 players. So the opportunity for a little bit of damage does come through. Refresh at least with the first before getting taken to task. 5-1. I think that's what we all expected, but just a little bit of damage before things come to a close. WP back in the hands of Hector's. Fairly wholesome buy, all things considered. A lot of the time, maybe a less tempered CT side and a less regimented defensive half in terms of the way that they use this economy. A lot of these CT teams will actually overbuy in these ecos, get out an extra set of Kevlar, and they'll be stuck without utility here in a round like this, where Existence, they are on the back foot. Their economy is definitely shaky. That max loss bonus has finally been built up. But with 90 seconds left in this one, GAMBIT, this seems to be their default. Just playing inters towards this A side of things, just looking for any aggressive stances. I'm sure Existence are going to fall foul of this sooner or later. Maybe even in this round, considering they have taken ramp control with all of the mid smokes thrown. Maybe they feel like this side of the map is safe. It's absolutely not. Inter's finally falling back. That gives Existence a bit of breathing room towards this A site, but this certainly looks like the B split again. GAMBIT have done this almost every single time at this point, and Hooksy has no support from short. He finally does spot out the first, but he needs more where that came from. He needs to rack in for the second, and it's not going to happen. Already the site taken from GAMBIT youngsters, as they're just unable to pitch back into this one. Traded very evenly. The bomb now can go down, and apparently not. Refresh, that's a lovely little peek inwards, and surviving on 4 points of health. Who's going to make the jump first, boys? Often a weird angle to jump if you're newer to the game. There is still an 8G in hand for Axel, so if he's able to throw that into kitchen, maybe Refresh instantly drops, but there's the nade stack. That's lovely, beautiful. Definitely in the thought process for Existence. Obviously noticed that they had the pair of HGs at the ready, and just enough to rid this round. 2 on the board. That's beautiful. And that's just the power of utility in Counter-Strike, to be perfectly honest with you. Also, the power on your screens of Hellcase. Malta-V and Malta-V15 are your codes. Your little coupon codes if you want a tiny weeny bonus. That's a really big round for Existence to win, and especially considering Hooksy was all isolated and alone towards that B site. Definitely a big one for him to not just find that first frag, but get the information onto Shiro that he's playing close. He gets not quickly taken down, but they at least know where that danger man's playing from. You always want to avoid Shiro at all costs. So with all of the information given and granted, Existence could then resort back to this triple kitchen setup, throw the nade stack through, which is just impossible from short. You have to step all the way out into the open, and more utility damage. Nafany just can't catch a break. Down to 15 points of health. There's the opening frag as well. Lovely stuff from Existence to just bring a couple of rounds back, and this might even be a third. I really don't know how many they need on their CT side. Up against Heroic, they weren't really able to do too much whatsoever in that IEM New York qualifier. Let me actually look at their statistics. We've literally only got one map to go off, and it was the T side that was the real problem. They only took 1 round against Heroic 7. That was in the second half, but a 6-9 first half here on the CT side. Not really too good either. But they clearly haven't got the practice in since we last spoke. So realistically, are they going to bring a lot more to the table? They would have had to put a lot of time in behind the scenes in non-officials. They just don't have the same vibe or feel as the Malta vibes. This is a very clean round, and Nafany should certainly be saving this AWP, but he's been spotted. That forces him forward to try and do some excess damage. What can he find as a bonus? Apparently not too much, with Hector's hitting everything. 5-3. How do Gambit youngsters respond? I guess with an eco in this 9th. Already fairly far through this first half. And this is where Existence can start to creep this scoreline back. Build that economy up, which realistically they haven't had an opportunity to do as of this point. You see the richest player being Nodios on under $3,000. Everybody else sat around the $1,500 mark. It's not really too much money. It's certainly not enough if you lose a round like this. The Gambit, their goal is just to do a little bit of damage. If they can get their way into connector, get up close and personal with these Glocks, I guess they might even boost a couple of players into window room. Not too sure. That looks to be the tactic right now, with Hobbit crouching away and the bench being jumped upon. Yeah, gonna get this double stack into window. This is probably the only way they're going to throw Existence through the loop, but with the information spotted, they've been quite nicely contained. Refresh trying to take this aggressive prompt, gets dinked and fragged. There's Hector's once again, just to clear them all up. I feel like the Observer should just be on Hector's 100% of the time, because he's finding kills in every single round. He's doing absolutely everything, even against the pistols here. I feel like we should just have like a picture-in-picture, just Hector's view at all times, like Hector's cam. He's definitely been my MVP so far, and if he continues at this pace, it will be a 2-0. See what Existence can do against the rifles. Shiro stuck without his prized AWP. Only one sniper in the server. It's down to Hector's who's getting aggressive into Palace. Everybody else just spread. Again, this same default from Gambit. They haven't been prompted away just yet. I don't know if we heard that boost come into action. Don't know. Maybe it was the AK instead that I heard, but maybe the jump. I don't know. I feel like we would have seen one of the Gambit members kind of twitch. Respond to that. This is the ramp progression that I was talking about earlier, that previously Inters was very nicely placed to deal with. He is dug inside of Palace, so this all comes down to timing, and he's certainly going to catch off Refresh here. Yeah, he's got the back line. Easy opening frag. That's the mistake that we were talking about a couple of rounds ago. When do Existence decide to prompt aggressive into this ramp area? And it's, well, at exactly the wrong time. Inters has it completely downlocking key and puts a lot of pressure on Hector's once again. Very close to hitting that secondary shot as the nade connects. And Gambit youngsters once again on the back foot, with Hector's hitting even more shots. He's burrowed himself into the back of Palace. Gambit just peeking him time after time. They know exactly where he's playing from, but how can they contend? That's the big question mark. The nade connects, the AK doesn't. So Hector certainly has to be careful dug inside the Palace. The Axel doesn't just hit the one bullet required, puts a lot of pressure on Hooksy, and that ends proceedings as 6th for Gambit. Really tragic stuff for Hector's there. He does his job and more. On 7 HP, finds another frag. It's just not enough. This is certainly an opportunity to break the buy. Couple of Famises, double AWP setup, and that M4A4 for Queen X. This is definitely a different approach. Just a set play into A. There go the smokes. And the T's are going to follow. Trying to plant this bomb nice and quickly, perhaps. There's that AWP for Shiro, trying to get inside this A site. There goes the C4 down on the floor. Existence go for quite an aggressive prompt to stop this bomb from going away, and they're finding all the shots required with just a couple of FAMAS in hand. Refresh is still a big problem maker. There's another dink. Both of these players with 6 HP between them. This round is so over. I guess the double AWP setup, if they miss a couple of AWP shots, there's an opportunity, and that's a big mistake. Hector's gets aggressive. Now towards the middle of the map, and Anthony doesn't quite find the other. It's Hooksy. Double one tap to finish off the final two. That's a fifth. It's got to feel good. That's a bit of a change-up for Existence there that we definitely didn't touch on. The double AWP setup, maybe that's what they want to go towards in the last couple of rounds. Of course, they don't have the money to go for double snipers in this 12th. I think the richest player after that win was maybe Hooksy on $3,800. Still 1,000 shy to even get a glass cannon in hand. Yes, they do force GAMBIT back into eco territory. That's the problem you have on the T side when you fail to get that bomb down and away. And Existence just pressuring into the apartments. And now Nodios has to be very careful. If he goes down early, there's an opportunity for another bomb plant. I think Refresh should be able to deny this one if he maneuvers his way into this B site nice and quickly, leaving just Axel last alive. Some nice shots. And there's the headshot on the second as well. 2 points of health and an HE in hand. That could definitely be the difference maker here for Queenix. This nade doesn't even need to land particularly close, but there's the turning point. 6-6, AWP retrieved, and another round on the board for Existence. And considering they were able to take 6 rounds against Heroic's T side, I am eager to see if they can do any more against GAMBIT Youngsters. They've at least secured that scoreline, which I guess we would have expected. By the way, in that series against Heroic, Hector's, again, the only player with a positive rating there on HLTV. That's obviously what we look towards. Smokes go down and away, but I actually don't like this short smoke here. It gives a big gap, which an AWPer like Hector's can very easily take care of. And once again, just all of the kills going Existence's way. Another 3 versus 2. And Axel, yes, he's in the back lines, but Existence seem to be just perfectly poised. They know exactly where Inter is playing from. He's been stuck on this A site for some time. And there goes another headshot. Hooksy, just with the MP9 in hand, hits the long-range headshot required to end their 7th. Beautiful stuff. Just a 1-round lead right now. And maybe the opportunity for a little more, considering GAMBIT Youngsters don't have enough to buy up in this 14th. There's enough for, I guess, a couple of pistols, lots of utility. Might as well not keep any reserve cash, considering there is a buy coming up in the next. You can keep 1,000 to 2,000 in hand, and then with max loss bonus, be feeling absolutely fine about this one. The goal, of course, is to get that bomb down again on the B site. And with only Hooksy playing with a UMP towards this side of the map and then rotate quite a while away, there is the opportunity for GAMBIT Youngsters to overwhelm this setup. Yeah, this is a really bad defense for Existence. Hooksy instantly drops, and now the rifles need to pitch in on what could be quite a complicated retake. The run and gun shot from Nafany ends another, and Existence almost can't go for this one. There's another rifle blasted back. They're trying to throw it out of the map. And there it goes. Whoop! All the way over and back down. Refresh isn't going to get away with that one. Be an easy 7th for GAMBIT Youngsters. And that was just an abusive setup there. Only Hooksy towards that B site with only a UMP in hand. As soon as he goes down, the round is practically over as of that point. And GAMBIT can certainly hunt for these further rifles. If they even find one of them, I don't think Existence can reinvest into the next. I mean, $1,400 loss bonus. No AWP for Hector's, most notably. Big problem. Seven to 7. We resort back to winning ways again for GAMBIT Youngsters. When you actually dig into the statistics on this particular map, Mirage is one of their kind of deadly trio at the top, along with Vertigo, which they seemingly always win, and Dust 2, which they float in 3-map series quite a lot. I guess you can put Inferno into the mix there as well, all positive 70% win rates. And what makes Gambit youngsters so powerful here on Mirage is their ability to take rounds on both sides of the map. Over a 50% win rate on both the T and CT side. Good pistol win percentage there as well, which is obviously a little bonus thrown into the mix. Obviously not hoping for a 2-0 here in this one. Especially as they're trying to brush off the critique that has been laid at the arms of Hobbit as of late. And this should be an easy 8th. Despite the whiffed utility onto the B bomb site, it will be a retake that Existence will go for. And Hector's is at the ready. So we'll see if he can actually pitch and poke him for any damage initially. As the bomb goes down, that applies a time pressure. Don't think there's much that's going to be done about this one. I expect them to just kind of suicide onto this B site. Refresh will finally go for this through the placed smokes, and there's loads of utility left on Gambit youngsters as well. So as he reveals his position, just expect more and more smokes to be thrown, if even needed. A flawless final round. That's the 8th on the board for Gambit youngsters, and just a really good performance all around. Taking a couple right at the start, that initial 3-0, and converting really nicely to finish things off there. 8-7, we see those odds dive even more firmly in Gambit youngsters' favor. I think we're expecting a 3-mapper here today. It's going to be a very important pistol for Existence. They were able to take their T-pistol on overpass just from having Hector's rummage around. He's the raid boss. Definitely the MVP for Existence, and all of his teammates know it. He's going to be lurking and lingering towards this other side of the map, trying to take this fight onto Hobbit. He's got a USPS in hand. Having a P250 isn't a massive advantage here. In fact, I kind of favor the USPS in that gunfight, but maybe not in the hands of Hector's. Instantly dives through, trades up to that USP. Getting rid of what might even be a more valuable weapon, all things considered. And as they try and charge into the connector, Shiro has to do it all on his lonesome, whipping a lot of shots once again. He's being chased away. And what a round from Existence. Hector's gets us started. That brutal pace through connector, and Gambit youngsters just cannot stand up to the challenge. Now they have to do something seriously on their CT side. Maybe it's going to be the Force in this second. It doesn't look like they're going to go for much investment. Nobody's spending even a penny. Even 1 cent. Not even one flashbang or a decoy grenade thrown into the mix. Means in round number 17, all they have to rely on is this stack, which Existence initially looked to be maneuvering their way into. They go all of the nades. This is such a fake. This will keep Gambit prompted, just stuck on this A-bomb site forever. And Huxia will have all of the information over towards B before Gambit youngsters even get here. He can move his way into kitchen, very easily controlling this side of the map. And Gambit youngsters, that's their one rotate completely locked away. They'll be going for exits anyway. And remember, the buy isn't going to be flawless into the next. It won't be perfect utility by any means. With only a Mach 10 salvage, I guess they're trying to get Hobbit into a position where he can find a frag here, just to gain a bit of extra kill bonus. I'd like to see Hobbit play a bit more aggressive here, but isn't necessarily doing that, as he does go down. So no opportunity for the Mach 10 to do anything. Just one kill onto Queenix, and that's all she wrote. That was realistically just that quick A-site take, walking into the stack, getting all of the information on the fake. 9-8, absolutely secured. So when we dig into the map pool in this series, what Gambit youngsters could have perhaps went to anyway, I think having Vertigo as this third and final map is great for Gambit. They really do seem to find their form on Vertigo, and it's maybe a map that Existence aren't going to be as confident in. They've taken 2 wins, 2 losses, but they're 2 wins against Lingby Vikings and Moo. They're pretty hefty loss against NIP. So they haven't shown any great results there on Vertigo. So I think they've got to do it here on Mirage, to be perfectly honest. I wouldn't have been scared to see Gambit youngsters even pick Vertigo outright. I guess Mirage is statistically a much weaker map and a bit of a target pick for the Kazakhstani crew. That hasn't realistically worked out for them thus far, especially with the trade potential on this A bomb site coming in, and Shiro missing another shot. He seems to have missed more than he's hit today, which is very uncharacteristic. Maybe he didn't eat his Weet-Bix, maybe he didn't get his beauty sleep. Nevertheless, they're holding this round down. And Nodios wants to isolate these CTs through window. Axel's got a dangerous position. He won't spot this FAMAS first. Instead, just maneuvering to try and find Axel, who he has heard. And there's the response. Knows exactly where the FAMAS is coming from. And Nodius converts onto both. That's double digits for Existence. Beautiful little combination there. Isolating both of these members. Hearing Axel. That's the key mistake. And then Inters tries to go for the peak. That's the classic play. Exactly what you should be going for with 45 seconds on the board. But doesn't get the job done. Doesn't connect. Gambit seem a little off, if I might say. They're not connecting with their shots. Shiro, if I look at the scoreboard here, he's lingering right at the bottom. 9 kills. Really weak performance. And up against the Pistols, this is an opportunity to take number 11 for Existence. I really wasn't expecting a 2-0 in this series, but it's finally becoming a possibility. A 2 versus 2, no rifles retrieved, but Gambit youngsters still a chance and opportunity. Maybe even expecting to rotate over. They want to play safety in numbers. Going in from the apartments. I don't know if there is a rifle to be found. There is a MAC-10 at least. Not a weapon that Nafni will want to keep into the next round, so might as well go in for this retake without the body armor. If Hobbit can connect with a headshot, if this Deagle can come through as well, there's definitely an opportunity, and that's a 1-tap. Queenix instantly taken, and Nodios another 1 versus 2. Has to find it back to back, and Hobbit does get smacked. Quick headshot in, 11 on the board for Existence, and Nodios, he's finding all of these quick little cheeky 1v2 clutches. Here's another replay for you boys and girls. I'm sure we'll see that little 1-tap as well from Hobbit. It was lovely. And that's a 1-tap as well that I even missed. It was so quick. Here's that 1-tap that we were talking about. Bang! Out of the surfer. Still wasn't good enough though. Hobbit might not bring the same amount of firepower that Supra brought to the equation, but there must have been some thought process behind it. Something that I've seen notable people in the scene talk about, Thorin especially, is creative tension. I wonder if there were maybe some sort of internal issues in this squad, because why would you split up when you're having such good results from start to finish? I don't understand it. Maybe I'm missing something. I don't know if there was some sort of offer out there. I don't know where Supra has necessarily gone. We have a look. Don't know if he's actually gone to a team right now. No, he's still on the bench for Gambit youngsters. So for me, that doesn't really seem to make any sense. Maybe there were internal issues, arguments. I'm not sure. It's not been publicly talked about whatsoever. So I'm literally just kind of theory crafting right now. And sometimes that sort of creative tension is good for teams. It helps you improve. It gives you a bit of drive. Sometimes it does exactly the opposite. But they seem to be finding all of the results. And in this series, they absolutely haven't. They need to regain their footing on the CT side. And perhaps an opportunity to do so, considering this is a 1 versus 4. Another one perhaps to add to the highlight reel for Hector's, as he's stuck his way into quite a precarious position. Sure is there to trade. 11-9. Bit of damage dealt, but nothing to brag about. His Existence. Back to the Pistols. Back to round 1 again. It should be a force buy, I think, considering the loss bonus is at 0. Double ecoing on this T side doesn't really seem to make much sense. They really want to go for one eco here? No. There goes the force buy. Exactly what I would have thrown into the mix. Refresh can pick up that AK-47, and everybody else with just a ragtag couple of buys. I guess it's all pistols all around. This is where Gambit youngsters have to be very careful. This is the opportunity for a freebie to try and get them onto map number 3. And taking the bomb down first, Shiro getting fired up into his finishing off the rest. A clean round, all things considered. Not a single point of damage dealt. 11-10 as our scoreline closes on, yeah, quite a closer second map. I think if pre-series you wanted to do a full analyst desk segment, they would have probably said that map 1 would have probably been the closer affair, and then this second map would have been quite firmly in Gambit youngsters' favor. But we do have that question mark, considering we've not really seen Existence play a lot of Mirage, but it's been in the map pool for years. It's of course a map that you are going to be semi-comfortable on at best. Semi-comfortable on at worst, I guess. At best, you're going to be very comfortable. This will be a very convincing round once again. Don't know what Hooksy was doing there, but nonetheless, it's a complete shutdown. Just the one kill coming through for Existence in the last 2 rounds. That gives the Gambit economy a real opportunity to thrive out of control here. This is where they start to become the most dangerous. Shiro's constantly going to be having that AWP. No freebies, no ecos for Existence. They need to win 2 to 3 rounds in a row here to actually force. Yeah, force that eco. And here in round number 23, this is where they do need a couple of rounds. They're not just 1 or 2 ahead. And with Shiro showing up, you need to put him to sleep once again. He's had a very quiet series. Last couple of rounds, he's been hitting everything. This defense looks pretty good. They're gesturing, getting this control, spotting out the T's. Nodios has burrowed his way into window room. Axel does seem to be very aware of this. And that headshot should really shut down this affair. Existence need a lot of quick opening kills, and with Nafni burrowed inside Sandwich and all of the information given and granted, I don't know if they're even going to spot towards this position. Nope, doesn't look for it. Nafni, that's another freebie. And realistically, with Hector's missing that shot, that should close down this 12th round for Gambit youngsters. The nade, the AWP, both connect. And there's number 12. And Existence are stuck in this eco cycle. I don't think they've got the bomb down in the last 4 or 5 rounds, all things considered. Yeah, look at the scoreboard. There's 4 rounds in a row, no plans. That really does nightmarish things for your economy on the T side. You don't get that extra $600-700 a piece, and what a nade. Pretty much ends this one already. Look at all the damage that's been dealt. Almost 300, maybe even more than 300. It's another complete shutaway. Gambit youngsters aren't just winning these rounds, but very, very convincingly. Somebody in Kazakhstan has just flicked the switch like the Blackpool lights and prompted them on. No opportunities for bomb plants. No opportunities for any success, seemingly. And Hooksy only has 11 points of health to try and do some damage. I don't think damage is really even going to matter as of this point. Gambit youngsters have 3 players almost hitting maximum cash. Hero up above the $10,000 mark. Inters and Axel likewise. Everybody above $5,000. Everyone above $6,000 for Gambit youngsters means they'll be able to buy into rounds number 25, 26, and 27. This is a real problem maker here in map 2. And considering we're going on to Vertigo next, massively problematic for this T side as they're vying for 5 more. And they've definitely found their groove. There was a reason they picked Mirage. And it's perhaps down to that shaky T-side for Existence. We saw it against Heroic, only taking 1 out of 8 T-sided rounds. No real opportunity to get started in that series. Hector's is starting to miss. He was hitting almost 100% of these shots, and this is unconventional. Nobody spotting towards underpass. Shiro, he's gunning up towards this one with the AWP. Cannot connect the second shot. It's always a little funky to see an AWP go through underpass, and Axel, he's going to vie through as well. Needs to be taken down quickly. He absolutely doesn't. That puts this round firmly in GAMBIT Youngsters' favor. Could certainly be 14 on the boards. Refresh even missing that potential opening onto Nafne. Really just ends things. As GAMBIT Youngsters aren't necessarily playing massively aggressive, with the exception of a little bit of underpass aggression. A couple of consolation frags. Shouldn't be anything too convincing here. As GAMBIT Youngsters up to 14 on the CT side. 2 out of 5 will finish this map off and take us to a third and final. That'd be Vertigo. Distance really don't have too much money to work with here in round number 26. I guess you have to go for the buy. Could be strapped for a little bit of utility here. Refresh doesn't have a single nade to work with. And Hector's goes for the AK and body armor as well. Continue to use this safety and firepower against the GAMBIT Youngsters full set. This doesn't look pretty, especially with the Molotovs going down and through. There's the connecting nades, just prompting Existence back. They have to wait for these mollies to blossom, and realistically, the rotate is already inwards and onwards. A 2-player defense over towards this B site, burrowed inside the back of this bench angle. Nafne, and the flashes are already going to blind a couple of members up. As Hector's at least finding one, but not taking down the second man of this defense. Into staying alive for way too long and baited out into the open arms of Axel. Still a 2 versus 2 nonetheless, but one of these players, it's Shiro, does toss away the Molotov a little too short there. Doesn't deny the plant and doesn't really do a lot of damage. Maybe if you had 2 players left in a 2v2, it would be Hobbit and Shiro to go for. Sneaking and sliding their way into the B site. That's a lovely headshot to convert another frag. And Hobbit in the open, he's been spotted. Yes, he's got a smoke and a nade. That one might connect. Hector's just about gets away with it. A perfectly timed peek. And a 12th on the board. A much needed 12th for Existence. Need 4 more to take this in regulation. You look at that scoreboard. Queenix, Hooksy, both on 10 kills. Axel on 32 frags. How did I miss that one? That is pretty sensational. Still an opportunity for Existence. It's not a blow away. And previously on Overpass, where we were staring down the barrel of a 15-6, then 15-7 lead. This is a lot tighter. Hero only really has to miss 1 shot, get stuck on the wall, do something awkward. And that was actually the wallbang from Axel. He's having such a game. Didn't spot out any information into the apartments, but Queenix cannot catch a break. With Shiro connecting that secondary shot, Existence have to get the work done in a 3 versus 5. And considering the economy is completely broken, this is one that they have to win, and it's being shut away on all accounts. Complete barn burner here for GAMBIT Youngsters. It should definitely be a 15th on the board. What can Nodios and Hector's do? Shiro already has the information. There's another headshot. He's hitting everything right now. And Hector's is good, but I don't know if he's good enough to get this one done. He's going to be looking the wrong way as well. Shiro, there's the re-peek. He's just quick enough to connect with a shot, but still a 1 versus 4. And there's the shot away. 15-12. We should be going to map 3 here, with GAMBIT Youngsters needing 1 out of 3 to finish this one off. Not a big buy whatsoever for X6TENCE. They've got a couple of AKs scattered around. Hector's with the Scout instead of his prized AWP, and a UMP along with that Tech 9. It's a real jumble sale buy. I think it's going to fall on deaf ears here in round number 28, especially with Nodius initially going down. He was a really key player on Overpass, I must note, especially on this T side, finding a lot of those openings, big successes for him. But here on Mirage, he's gone a little more quiet. Whereas GAMBIT, they've really been saved by Axel. It was one of those names kind of postured to maybe be picked up onto Na'Vi at a certain moment in time. There's so much talent in the CIS scene, though, that Na'Vi actually do just have a wealth of players to pick amongst. This should be the shutdown. Nice little crossfire, shutting things away. There's Hector's, and again a 1 versus 4, and this time can't get it done either. So 16-12 on the board. Nice, convincing second half, all things considered. And I think the problem maker there for X6TENCE was that T side. Unable to find the rounds when it really mattered. Just a little bit weaker on the attack. And realistically, their CT side was actually good enough. I think they found, was it 9 rounds there? No, 7 rounds on that CT half. But then going on to that T side, only finding those first 4 and then 1 rifle round after that. That's just not good enough. And maybe what you'd expect after seeing that previous result against Heroic earlier in the IEM New York qualifiers. Either way, we've got a third and final map to come. It's Vertigo. We'll go to a quick break just before, but don't go very far because you don't want to miss this one. Welcome back, everybody. Map 3 between Gambit Youngsters and Existence about to go live here in our first quarterfinal of the day. We're going the distance, boys and girls. We've got 4 quarterfinals coming up in this very day. I think production, they're going to be tired by the end of it. Here is that playoffs bracket. Don't tune out after this one because we've got Galaxy Racers versus North. That is going to be a brilliant series. I'm going to tell you that already. But we've got to get this one concluded first. Obviously, later in the day, we've got Fate versus Forza, Sprite versus Endpoint, topping off our quarterfinals. As I said, we do have to finish this one off first. Gambit Youngsters versus Existence. Pretty much what we would have expected to have happened in the first 2 maps. Overpass going very firmly Existence's way. I think that's probably the surprise of the series. I would have probably put my faith in a 2-0 in this one. And Gambit Youngsters, they swipe right back. A massive performance from Axel to top things off there in that second map of the day, and a really big reason that Gambit Youngsters even get to this third map of Vertigo in the third place. Realistically, I think that Vertigo is pretty firm Gambit Youngsters territory. We've not seen a massive amount of results from Existence on this particular turf, and that's really difficult. You actually look at their results, they're 2-2, but that doesn't really tell the whole story. Anytime they're playing this sort of tier 1, bottom of tier 2 team, they're losing pretty heavily. Pretty decisive loss against Mad Lions, a loss against NIP, one of which was earlier in this tournament as well, and against Mad Lions, who we love to see playing in these tournaments. And their only wins against the Lyngby Vikings and Moo. Not massively notable teams, to be perfectly honest. Of course, you do have that kind of Danish domestic matchup there, which they did win against Lyngby Vikings. But realistically, they're not at the level of a Gambit Youngsters, especially on this particular map. A couple of hours ago, if you've tuned in at the very start of this broadcast, I said, what makes Gambit so scary is their ability to just have a really strong map pool. They've got 6 maps, 6 separate maps that they have over a 60% win rate and below a 75% win rate on. That is really impressive. And I don't think I can say the same for any sort of team at this tier of the scene. They had a massive win streak recently before the player break and coming back a little bit cold with the addition of Hobbit instead of Supra. I think people have been very critical of that change, and we've actually kind of banged on about it quite a bit, to be perfectly honest. But Vertigo, statistically, it's Gambit Youngsters' best map. And we look at some of the teams that they've actually taken to town in this particular series. Hellraisers, Navi Jr., Alternate Attacks, Navi Jr. again and again, Avis, Tiki Takan, who I love, one of my favorite names in any of these tournaments, LDLC Aves, Nordavind. It's basically just like the whole highlight reel of Tier 2/Tier 3 Counter-Strike in the previous weeks of the Malta Vibes, which commonly Gambit Youngsters have been taking. That's the roster on your screen right now. Hobbit, the new addition, coming back to this Gambit roster, of course. He was recently under the main Gambit banner where they were able to take a major. I really do wonder why Gambit don't just scrap the Youngsters thing and say, hey, these guys are good enough. We're going to make them our main roster. I really don't know what the reason is because of that, but I think Shiro definitely has the talent to be on a main Gambit roster. Axel, of course, he's been approached by Na'Vi in the past. Definitely one of the building blocks towards a main Gambit roster as well. I don't know why they would be a Gambit Youngsters, to be honest. I think that they've almost proven themselves on the international stage at this point. They do need a couple of LAN results, realistically, of which they just haven't had very many. You look at their previous results, it's all online qualifiers, lots of these home sweet home cups going and dating back to April, May, and June, where they were taking 3rd/4th place pretty commonly. They might be shaping up for a fairly similar result, considering their performances later in the semifinals. But yeah, realistically, recently, 1st place in Cup 5 or Week 5. In 9-5-2, 1st place. Week 4 of Malta Vibes, another 1st place.
in 9-5-1, another first place. So anything less than that feels very underwhelming. That's what we were talking about in terms of this MIBR roster recently, that they've set the bar and the ceiling so damn high that anything literally major champions, that anything less than that feels really underwhelming. And if your rhetoric doesn't really match your actions in the server, sometimes the community has a bit of a problem with that. GAMBIT don't really fall into that sort of a category, but if your results don't match your results, then you obviously have a bit of a problem there as well. And realistically, they do need a first place, a big grand final, and this is an opportunity to do so. If I just go back to that bracket a second, what would their potential run to a grand final actually be? They'd have to face Galaxy Racer or North, the winner of that series, in a semi-final. Really tough match, all things considered. Doesn't matter who you're playing against. They're definitely going to have a challenge in that one, especially if they're losing maps against Existence in series. And what was so good about Gambit youngsters back in the day wasn't just their ability to games, was to just not lose maps. Either way, we're into this knife round right here and right now on this final map of the day. Existence have actually won all 3 of their knife rounds, so maybe that's impressive. That could be like a little achievement to put under your belt as well. I'm not sure. We'll be getting into the pistol in just a few moments' time. Of course, Existence, I guess they'll start on this CT side. They absolutely do. So what do Gambit youngsters decide to employ? Because this T side of theirs is classically quite good. I wonder what they've got in store with Hobbit taking the reins. We haven't really seen massive numbers of... They've not really played loads and loads of Vertigo recently. This month, they played it once against Hellraisers. At the end of last month, they played it against MIBR and Apex, but playing it 3 times in the last 32 days. Not too much, not too much. Of course, we're coming off this player break as well, to be expecting to see just a sparser group of maps. Over towards the A bomb site. This is the key fight, pretty much the classic Vertigo battle here over on ramp. Trying to flush Hooksy out with apparently just a decoy grenade. I don't think that's going to move him out of position. Decoys did used to do a couple of damage, but I don't think he's going to be too worried. And they don't even check the sandbag's position. It hasn't been communicated either. Axel seems to have no idea, nevertheless hitting the shots. That's a big mistake there for Hooksy. Should have been able to guarantee both of those kills as the USPSs start to re-sweep in. Also got the P2000 on refresh, a weapon that we don't always or often see. And this crossfire, it's being built up. They know exactly where Shiro's playing from, missing all of the shots. And it's down to the man with the plan himself, Axel, to try and hit everything. One and done, tries to back off away from Hector's as he goes back free for more, hunting for the final man. I don't think there's enough time in the kit. It's in no man's land. This is going to be so damn close. He's just about gone for it. This bomb is very, very far ticked. I think he's got it. He does. 1-0. That's Existence taking the pistol. Axel only had to delay for a second or two more. It always feels like Hector, has the building blocks of just a great player. And now we see those loot.bet odds starting to swing. Gambit, very narrow favorites on this third and final map. You know what? I'm a bit surprised at that. I thought they'd be more dominant favorites. Maybe those are bets placed live after the pistol, perhaps. We know that they, especially on the Vertigo CT side, are really impactful. And now with just pistols, Gambit youngsters want to give it a second go. Right through the smokes, perhaps. There's not even a flashbang to count Hooksy and Nodios away from these angles. Nevertheless, they do push and force them back. There go the smoke grenades. Expect pretty good utility usage from Existence from start to finish of this map. If what we've seen in the previous 2 continues. Pop flashing these different angles. Nothing really going on towards B. Just these kills should be fairly easy to find. This needs to be a convincing round for Existence to get this money bouldering before the buy round coming in the third. Also, it'll be an early buy after getting that bomb down just previously and prior. Sometimes you will actually go for a force buy in this one as well. You see that Axel would have been able to pick up a Galil. Instead, they get shut away. Not a single kill finds. As Hector's finishes everybody off with that MP9. Doing heavy damage. He could even trade up to the AWP right here, right now, if he wants to. I would say go for fairly minimal investment in this third. Play it as a full bonus round, and then go into the fourth with a full buy. Maybe even retrieving some of these AKs if you win it. For Existence, they only really need to do just damage in a round like this. If they win it, then, as I said, it's a bonus. It's the cherry on top, the icing on the cake. Against GAMBIT youngsters, they don't often give away easy rounds like this. Not that they're totally simple, considering 4 FAMASes are thrown into the mix. And there goes the initial opening. I do like that they haven't forced themselves onto a polarized buy on the CT side, giving them enough cash to invest into the next as well. Keeping everybody at this $2,000 mark is very important, especially when it's around you're expected to lose. And it's not cost efficient to throw away these FAMASes and just upgrade to the M4s. Instead, you want to keep hold of them. As I call it, the bonus round. This is one that GAMBIT are almost certainly going to take. All of the kills going their way. Only one pitched back in return. I guess they have to try and save this AK right now. Maybe the FAMAS as well. Drop that over to Hooksy and refresh. Pick up all 5 rifles in the fourth. Of course, with that AWP on Hector's. A weapon that you always want to see him using and utilizing. We talked about his depth of results previously in both of the previous maps, to be honest with you. And they're actually pretty decent. He's somebody who hasn't realistically been on my radar. The Danish scene does actually have some pretty decent AWPers, but when you actually dig into his personal stats, not the craziest rating in the world. It's just recent performances that have been pretty damn decent, especially in this series, where he seems to be hitting all of the shots. If that continues here against GAMBIT youngsters, then maybe Existence can make a semi-finals here on the Malta Vibes Week 10. Remember, all of the action that's brought to you today is by Gaming Malta. It's the home of gaming excellence. It's the little tagline, the little strapline. And we've seen plenty of that in this particular series, especially from Hector's. And Shiro. Axel as well. Just been a great player earlier on Mirage. I think without such a strong, sturdy performance from him, this could have very easily been a 2-0 with Existence taking 12 rounds on that previous map. AK's rummaging around the map. They know that the buy is not going to be perfect. It's not flawless. And Hooksy's in a bit of a dangerous state. If he gets mollied out, there's no smoke to save him. I would have certainly preferred him to fall into this A bomb site, play a more passive line, considering one piece of utility can really throw a spanner in the works. There's the peek out. He does get fully flashed as well. He needs to backtrack, and he does. And there's the Molotov. Great timing. There's no reason to play behind the sandbags if you don't have a smoke to extinguish the molly that's always coming. Only takes one nade to flush a player out of position. And it's such an isolated angle that you're almost always expecting it. That's quite an entry. Hooksy instantly drops. And now it's Hector's once again who has to punch in the numbers. There's at least one. That's a number. Needs a couple more, though, as he fails to prevent that bomb from being planted. It goes down, and the flank is being firmly watched. Chiro spots out Queenix. They know exactly where this flank is coming from. And Existence playing this one very slow, methodical, you might say, but The bomb is still ticking down. That time pressure firmly applied. A nice flash eliminates Inters, and here come the kills. Only Napoli left, who needs an ace. The spray away doesn't connect, and there's the defuse again from Hector's. 3-1 here for Existence. That is a lovely retake. All of the kills coming in unison, and Gambit youngsters caught in a head-scratching position. What a performance. If this continues, they will be your semi-finalists. They have to shut down the online behemoths of Gambit youngsters. And they're not done yet. We're only very early days in this third and final map. Hector's, of course, still with the AWP. Double AK-47 retrieved. A fairly full buy from Gambit youngsters here in number 5. It's just that Galil to throw a bit of a spanner in the works for the investment. This is very up close and personal for Nodius. He wants to get aggressive through this smoke. He has to reload and doesn't capitalize. When is he going to pounce? That's the big question. Flashing your face. There's a lot more work to be done here in the 4 versus 4. Usually thins out the defense, but Existence with Hector's towards ramp and all of the flank in full effect. They know exactly where this is coming from. Nodios is right behind the aggressive. That drops the bomb. And Gambit youngsters forced into an awkward, awful position. They know that Queenix is just waiting for Hobbit to swing, but realistically, it's Refresh to pick up the pieces. Winters, yes, he can pick up one perhaps, but Nodios swings onto him as well. That's 4-1, and another rifle round dispatch for Existence. When does this start to come dangerous? I guess at 6-7 rounds for Existence, perhaps? I guess for Gambit, this is going to be another eco/half buy. Just a couple of Tech 9s picked up. P250s, perhaps. to 1, and these pistols should be taken care of. That's a nice nade, does dunk into Inters and Hooksy. There to just convert everybody. Not a single frag found for Gambit. Such a quick round. And completely uninteresting for the pistols. 5-1 is another opportunity in their, I think, tertiary gun round here for this T side. This is where they need to start picking up rounds here. Remember, this is quite a T-sided map. When you dig a little deeper into the statistics for Gambit youngsters, you actually figure out that Vertigo, it is about both their T and CT side. Pro 55% win rate on both halves of this map. What we'd be expecting from a team to win 15 out of 20 of their matches on this particular map. But I just don't know what Existence is doing right now. They're hitting all of the shots. This is looking like a good CT side, but they can't let it blunder and fall apart. That mid-prompt might not have been needed. It gives Gambit youngsters a way back into this 7th after taking that opening frag. Now this thins out the defense. There's nobody beside A. And with Gambit youngsters posturing and gesturing towards this side of the map, I guess you have to rotate Hooksy and Co over. You can hear all those footsteps. Vertigo's a multi-tiered map, so that rotate from mid, you can hear from down here inside the ramp room. That little lobby area is great for information on the T side. And as the clock ticks down and away, Existence seem to see stacking it perfectly once again. All 3 players towards this side of the map, and Gambit are about to walk right into this. With Hobbit low HP, yes, he's on the flank. This should be easily taken care of, and just waiting for these flashbangs. They don't connect whatsoever. What a conversion for Nodios. Both headshots found, and here comes the fast wrap and rotation. Of course, the cat becomes the mouse, as Existence can hear the wrap and rotate this time. Already, the cross coming through, the AWP whiffing and missing. There's Hobbit converting yet another one, and a lovely nade. Doesn't do nearly as much damage as I initially suspected, but the double peak falls on deaf ears, and Hobbit with just 12 HP becomes a real nuisance. He needs to find both of these kills, and it's just not going to happen. He gets timed out. No loss bonus, but there's the AWP. Really problematic for GAMBIT youngsters. They're doing damage, but not winning rounds. And back with a scatty buy. Don't know what they can do here. Remember, if you're a fan of the case opening site, you can go to Hellcase. They're our official case opening sponsor. Use Malta V or Malta V15. Be over 18. Gamble responsibly. All of that good stuff as well. Hector's is stood all the way out in the open. Can be really dangerous as an AWPer without any cover there. You can see that Nodios is actually sat practically near the sandbags. There's nothing really in the way of supports. And nevertheless, GAMBIT youngsters are going to go elsewhere. Challenging Hector's is never your best bet. Maybe Queenix might be a better target. He does have a bit of support. The fast rotate from Refresh can come through, and with Shiro instantly opening up, that leaves just the single man here on the defense. And Shiro, oh, he instantly drops. That's lovely from Refresh, just using those angles to perfection to end this round. As soon as that ult drops, it's practically game over. Of course, Existence do not want the double AWP setup. I think I've only seen one team utilize double ops recently. I think Mad Lions used it. But apart from them, I don't think I've seen many players at all. MIBR actually used the double ops setup on ramp. They put KNG and Fallen both towards the A bomb site, which is very unconventional. You wouldn't often see double ops utilized here on Vertigo, even though you do have some long ranges over towards the B bomb site. They're all headshot angles, so the AK-47 is almost as impactful, especially if you're a secondary AWPer who's just not as confident with hitting those really tough shots. And you of course want to put Hector's on this A bomb site where he's got a big advantage. You don't want him having to gamble with headshots. You want him hitting shots like those. Fanny eliminated. And this is where things start to get a little more difficult for GAMBIT youngsters once again. Another 4 versus 5 scenario. Everybody from Existence posted around these angles, and Hector's is going to pitch in for more and more. There's the conversion. Another 3 versus 1. As Axel has to get the job done. The no-scope whiffs. That's 8-1 for Existence. What the hell is happening here on Vertigo? They seem to just be finding every single round. GAMBIT youngsters only with 1 on the board on quite a T-sided map. I really did think... I basically got all the analysis wrong from start to finish. I've got to hold my hands up. I thought the overpass would go GAMBIT youngsters' way. I thought, oh, well, we've seen the very convincing performance now, and after a couple of really good rounds to get us started on Mirage, maybe Existence can take this 2-0. Watching GAMBIT youngsters then win this one, I thought, yeah, maybe Vertigo, they're very confident on it. They're a great Vertigo team. I've probably cast their Vertigo 25 times. But here, Existence seems to be putting up the building blocks of a great defense. Their mid setup does seem a little bit wonky and wobbly, to be perfectly honest. Hector's just doesn't have a fallback plan. He's best utilized at A ramp, where he can take one shot and back off into the safety of the site. Playing on mid, it's such open territory. It's so difficult for him to backtrack. And that's why he's commonly finding 1 and done in those positions, instead of finding the 2 or 3 kills which he's been meriting across this whole series. 8-1 still shouldn't be too scary, as Hooksy can hold up the solo defense. Queenix is literally in the worst possible position for an A rotate. With Hooksy's angle being spotted, the trajectory of that Molotov definitely found, and that smoke actually does kind of help Gambit youngsters. Definitely wasn't expecting them to be all towards the top of ramp there. Instantly dies. Remember, these have been very convincing rounds for Existence, so we will see a buy in the next. It's an uphill battle for Gambit youngsters if they are going to get back into this T side. I like this angle. This is certainly going to find a kill. Oh, sure, circumnavigates it. He's going towards mid instead. Doesn't want any part of the toilet action. I think this is irresponsible of Queen X. What if there's somebody in that toilet? They're just trying to enjoy themselves, just trying to have a pleasant day. Sat with a newspaper on the bog, and he's just trampling on that cubicle. It's pretty appalling behavior, to be honest. Need to get the admins involved. 8-2. Still don't think this is the breaking point for Existence. They're going to have a little bit of money built up behind this. So we'll very likely see back-to-back buys once again. I guess with $4,000, $4,500, it's just enough to squeak out a buy in the next. Nevertheless, that's even if they lose this one. Existence have been winning almost everything. And Gambit youngsters need to pull a very special strat out of the cookbook. Ready up a meal for this one. And he doesn't connect. And Existence just playing a very standard game right now. Hooksy's just ready and waiting. He's got the smoke at the ready for when this Molotov comes through and, well, expect to be dropped right here, right now. They know exactly where he's playing from. It's not a very powerful position as soon as that utility is thrown inside. And with Nodios also dropping, there's a lot of pressure on the AWP of Hector's, able to control that C4. That's a big mistake. They need to take him right now. Not before he finds a second. Still a bit of contest on this A site. His refresh one's going right through this smoke. He fully flashes himself and enters. Does take him down. And that should be the round. Gonzo. Phoenix, not much you can do about this one. Those smokes will dissipate. And enters is here to just watch and wait. Let's hear the step. There's one headshot. And Gambit seem a little bit stuck in the mud. Maybe wanting to go for the rotate. Bit of a double fake back to this A site. Phoenix has been well and truly faked. He bought a bagel. It was really a donut. This surely is impossible. The rotate from the B-bomb site is so long that by the time you actually get up to a ramp, you've only got 10-15 seconds left. And unless Gambit youngsters made some massive mistakes, there's no way that you're hitting the retake there. That's a third. And now we'll see how that has an effect on this money. I guess with the rifle saved, Tuxie can grab that M4. And everybody can pick up rifles. Hector's will have an AWP. I guess Hector's drops an M4. Queen X drops the AWP. And everybody's happy. I said before wasn't breaking point, but now certainly is. This is basically overpass all over again. Big lead from Existence at the start. A clawing back of rounds from Gambit youngsters. If it continues the identical storyline, maybe the script writer's being lazy again, then there is, yeah, an opportunity for Gambit to get to 6-7. I still think that an 8-7 for Existence here is good, but there's that momentum factor. It starts getting in your head that Gambit youngsters, these beasts of the online scene, literally the beasts from the Middle East, are starting to wake up. And now they need to connect with the shots, and it's Nodius to provide. Lovely, quick double shutdown. Gambit youngsters isolated miles away. Really much that can be done. With a minute left, they need to find these openings right here, right now, and rely on a mistake from these CTs. The nade doesn't connect. It bounces the wrong way. It's unfortunate considering Hector's was on 1 HP, but there are the openings once more. 50 seconds left, and Existence, that's a couple of mistakes. I would have loved to see Nodios just turtle down on this bomb site, play safety in numbers, but perhaps no. And now Gambit youngsters, they will pitch into this one. They've got the flank to worry about. This all comes down to timing, as Inters is watching this angle, but for how much longer can he sit in wait? There's Shiro for just one more. Phoenix has to go for this prompt at some point, knowing this is going to be towards the A site. They're not checking for him right now, and Shiro, does go for the jump peak, missing the shot as well. That bomb goes down for Shiro, another missed shot, and now the retake is very viable. The smoke goes down and away. It's a flash instead to bait out Axel. Now into the central portion of that A bomb site, as Queenix takes a nicely timed swing for number 9. That's Existence just beasting on these retakes. That's the third they found on this A site. I don't know what Gambit youngsters are thinking today. They don't seem like the same team as we've seen over the last couple of months. They just don't seem the same. This is where Gambit need to take all of the remaining rounds. A 10-5 is not good enough. A 9-6 is barely good enough. This is where things get really shaky, and Existence can start to ice the cake here on Vertigo and try and cement their semi-final place. I've been sleeping on this roster, but supposedly that was my issue, my mistake. They came off the back of winning the IEM New York Open Qualifier. They won the one-tap league. Yes. Maybe the signs were there. I don't think so. Either way, another shutdown on the B site, as all of the players on this Existence side just seem to be firing on all cylinders. They're completely crushing Gambit in this final map. And Hobbit, 1 HP and definitely just a dream right now. He'll be trying to gun for a couple of headshots. He actually does spot the gun barrel of Hector's. He's waiting for a mistake. I don't know if the Danish dynamite is going to tread out of line. You can't spray through this. This is a complete metal railing. Hobbit just has to kind of wait. He almost knows that he's being baited right now. And as the smoke goes away, he's going to try and isolate Hector's. He knows that the AWP is up for grabs. And he doesn't even hit the shot. 10-3. That's double digits. And maybe one of the best CT sides that we've seen this tournament on Vertigo. No other CT side of Vertigo kind of steps out in my mind. This is very one-sided. So the big question is, how long do we give Gambit youngsters to prove out this new roster? Because people are already screaming for Supra back. He's just on the bench, so they could bring him in at any time. But obviously, you've made an arrangement with Hobbit. There was obviously a reason to make that change in the first place. I just don't understand it. I don't understand. I'd love to just see an interview with Supra, basically. Maybe there has been one done. If anybody knows of any interview that's been done with him, then hit me up. Twitter, SquidCS. I'd love to take a read. Maybe I'd need Google Translate. Still an opportunity for both squads in round number 14. This is a pretty hard eco for Gambit, all things considered. Not going in for the SMGs. Just trying to secure their 4th before things come to a close. And up against Queenix on the B site, he's finally going to be challenged. But up close and personal, quite an easy angle to contend with, considering this is Deagles at the ready. With the AK-47. Are they even going to check the corner? They don't check the corner! Queenix, he finds 2. That drops the bomb, gives away all of the information and slows Gambit to an absolute halt. Refresh trying to pitch in from the right side, the smoke to aid his cross down and over and through, and the Molotov delays Gambit youngsters even further. Finally, the bomb goes down, but still a 2v2 scenario with Refresh and Nodios, two of the heavy hitters of the day, at the ready against the pair of armored rifles. Shiro, he's out in the open and it's the shadow spotted. Nodios just needs to connect the shots. A bit of damage dealt, and there's the finisher. Shiro eliminated, and that's the 11th on the board. You can see what it means to him, a little bit of BM body bagging. 11-3. If we're counting the retakes, that's number 4, maybe even number 5 for Existence. And pretty tricky retakes there as well. Neither of those Gambit members were unarmored. So it was a pretty even Steven scenario, which almost always favors the T side. And that's been one of the weakest parts of Gambit's game today. The fact that they've lost 4 afterplants here on Vertigo. Yeah, lose 1, lose 2. I can excuse that. But losing 4 out of 4, it really does seem like that teamwork and coordination has been a problem maker in this series. And even if this scoreline does go 11-4, that's nowhere near good enough for the Kazakhstani crew. Mid-control taken, which realistically has been some of Gambit's only success. Controlling this portion of the map, making sure the rotates are late. But with Hector's holding the angle, Axel nice and aggressive. He was the heavy hitter on Mirage, who's gone quiet. Finally resurfacing once again. Hector's just with the 1 frag. Refreshing the back lines, but this is incredibly difficult, especially with Hobbit burrowed into the CT spawn. How the hell did Refresh do that one? We missed everything in Existence. I think they might have just won this series. 12-3. What a half. Maybe the half of the tournament for a Vertigo CT side. That looked like a done and dusted round. That must be tragedy for the confidence of Gambit youngsters. Just look at that, just how bad that half was. Only 3 rounds taken, all in pretty closely contested afterplants. Really wonky stuff. Pretty diabolical, and you can see how the odds on loot.bet can reflect. 1.04, you get 4p back if you bet £1. 4p. Can't even buy a Freddo with 4p. If you bet 1p on Gambit youngsters, you get more than 4p back. That's how little 4p is. You won't, because they're about to lose. But nonetheless, let's see if Existence can finish this one off. I must say, the T side has sometimes been the problem for them. So if they can close sooner rather than later, that will be important for the confidence. And just to get this quarterfinal off the way, take another big scalp. Just doming Gambit youngsters in this series. On the map pick earlier on Overpass, feels like a long time ago, but wasn't too far away. And then quite closely contested on Mirage. Could have very easily been a 2-0. What an upset in this 3rd and final map. Remember those odds at the start of the series as well. Gambit were massive favorites, even to the betters, so I don't think we're even over-exaggerating this one. I really do like this boost. Shiro, yes, he's very isolated in the open. And look-see, just takes his face off. Means that they know where Hobbit is as well. And without the smokes placed, they're going to get the bomb down regardless. Existence and just hitting all of the shots. And now another retake scenario, a 2 versus 2 with all of the kills coming through. And Hobbit, just a pair of HP to work with. The Glock's at the ready. Axel needs to do the damage. And here comes the double peek. He's got the kit in hand, and Hobbit, with just 2 points of HP on this site, is unable to get the rotate in. wants to search for Nodios's position. He's a little far away, tapping that bomb one more time. Needs to hit the instant headshot, and there are the footsteps heard. There's not enough time to get this done. It's a guaranteed round for Existence. That's number 13. Hobbit will probably go up in flames as well. Good night. 13-3 for Existence. And maybe the biggest upset that we've seen here in the Malta Vibes Week 10. Just look at the group stage a second to see if that's legit, because I guess MIBR going out in last place in Pact, Endpoint, and Galaxy Racers group. That's a bit of an that's a pretty big upset, you could say. But losing to Pact and Galaxy Racer, losing a best of 1 to Pact, best of 3 to Galaxy Racer. Maybe nowadays that could be expected. Mad Lions actually getting knocked out by Existence. Pretty big upset. They had the group of death. Forza, Existence, Mad Lions, Heretics. For my money, Existence probably the 4th best team in that group. It's pretty tightly contested between them and Heretics, I would say. I'd probably say that Existence probably the worst of the 4, to be honest. But definitely proving their worth. Just coming through absolutely clutch in the hardest way as well. Losing the initial best of 1 against Forza and then beating Heretics and Mad Lions in consecutive best of 3s. Really impressive way to do it. It's not like they won just an easy best of 1 and then they go on to the best of 3s and it's a simple one series. They've actually beat 2 of the best teams in that group in consecutive best of 3s. It's really impressive, and they might be about to take another one against GAMBIT. If they can hold up the attack on this AE site, back to the rotate for B, and what was that secondary shot from Axel? That's pretty stunning. Shiro chipping through as well as the Deagles are doing the damage, leaving Hector's in another 1 versus 4. He's piping the damage in, and Inters finally stops some madness on the B bomb site. That's only a 4th for GAMBIT youngsters, but Jesus, Hector's knows how to put on a show. (13-4). A big road ahead, a long road. You can't even see the end, and there's no service station here on Vertigo. No stopping, full steam ahead for both of these squads in Existence. I think this is their first full force buy of the series. They've been ecoing really heavy in these scenarios, so a bit of a change of pace. Might be a couple of nerves, perhaps. You never even know. You'd think at a 13-4 scoreline that you wouldn't be nervous. But changing up your style is definitely a little bit funky for me when you're this far ahead. Bad nade doesn't connect. How many youngsters do have this crossfire towards mid? Existence aren't walking into it, and it's been disbanded. Back to a pretty default setup, 2-2. Existence are just crawling all over this map, and GAMBIT have given up so much control that as that kill goes through, Axel is incredibly isolated over by B. And this is another 3 versus 2, and they have no idea where Refresh is playing from. Yes, he was in the back lines, but as the bomb goes down, he's rejoined his teammates over by the stairs, and they've got these head glitch angles at the ready. The Tech 9 looking to pounce. When is Refresh going to move into action? He spots out the first, and oh, there we go. Shiro able to capitalize. Should have probably found that frag and instantly backtracked. Probably didn't see that Shiro had got off that bomb. It's an awkward angle to take, but that's a 5th for GAMBIT youngsters. They're starting to slowly claw these rounds back. They need 8 to try and close this series up 13-13. I think that's a pretty null and void stat, to be honest. I think the more important statistic is that GAMBIT need 11 out of 12 to finish this off in regulation. 10 out of 12 would be OT. People in the Twitch chat talking about North. Remember, that is our second series of the day as we already chomp our way into the quarterfinals. North, they're going to be playing Galaxy Racer next. That's an interesting one. I'm excited for that. Let's see if Existence can finish off the supposed favorites first. Come the forces towards the A site. Another force buy for Existence. It's all Galils. They want to keep the Gambit youngsters' economy low, and doing the damage in each and every one of these rounds is definitely the way to go. They haven't spotted out sandbags, and here comes Hobbit. 2 quick kills, and now Nafni needs to hold up the line. It's even trading at the start, but Existence, they get completely slammed by the flank, and now they need to find all of the frags. They're being held at an arm's length on ramp. 13-6. Hobbit just doing a tremendous amount of damage there. A team kill also thrown into the mix. Was a real problem maker. And Existence just failing to close this one out early. That's going to give Gambit youngsters a slight open door back into this one. A couple of rounds won. Now the freebie in the form of the eco. Not much investment for Existence whatsoever. They need to go to the drawing board and come up with something special to finish off this game. We've seen weak T-sides from them today. Even on Mirage and Overpass, which are more classic T-sided maps, with not T-sided maps, but where everybody kind of knows what you should be doing. Remember Mirage, it looks okay. 8-5 second half, but remember Existence, 4 of those 5 rounds were the initial pistol round trio and then the opening rifle round, and then only 1 out of 9 as of that point. So as soon as Gambit got rifles in hand, that was to shut away. We could easily see a comeback here on Vertigo. Not easily, but it's definitely in the realm of possibility, as Axel is starting to get warmed up with a nice swift cheeky quad kill. Now just a deficit of 6. This was a deficit of 10, perhaps? We did my maths. 12-3, so a deficit of 9. Okay, then. Now they're starting to close it up once again. Might see a more tightly contested third and final map here. I think that's what we want on Vertigo. I think Vertigo is really starting to grow on me personally. I think the community is starting to like this specific map as well. I think you get really interesting fights over by a ramp. I think the rotations are really cool. I just think it's a nicely designed map nowadays, whereas before, maybe a year ago, if you dive into the history books and see what this map used to look like, it was really awful. Props to Valve for doing such a good job at turning this into something which has been a fan favorite. Now, we certainly haven't found our semi-finalists yet. Existence having troubles closing this one away. Only 1 round taken on this T side, and that was the pistol. If they had maybe converted it second and third, then this would already be, I guess, 15-4, 15-5. Maybe the game would be over in its entirety with Gambit probably scrambling to force buy. But now they've found a much more advantageous spot with rifles. If Gambit can actually put together a clean round here, this is going to be really problematic for the T's up against a full buy in every single one of the last 3 that they need to take. Still quite a big task to take over the top. There goes the swing. The bomb doesn't go down, and Gambit starting to assert some control on this CT side. Not what you'd expect to see from such a T-sided map. But the gap of 9, now a gap of 5. There goes the tactical timeout. What are they going to be discussing? I guess the opportunity at this half buy. This will very likely be a couple of deagles dotted around. Kevlar probably on 3 or 4 players, I would guess. Existence do have a tendency to hard eco in these rounds when they don't really need to, but it does give you a little bit more bang for your buck going into not just round 23, but 24 and 25. We've got a little bit of money behind you. Quite a light buy, all things considered thus far. Let's see what they actually decide to invest. There's 3 sets of Kevlar, so pretty standard stuff, all things considered. Yes, Hector's, he'll get out his AWP in round number 23, but we won't see that here for the 22nd. 13-8, and the opportunity for Gambit to get 1 away from double digits. Hero Zorp is not quite firing on all cylinders, but he's hitting a substantial number of shots. Doing some really good damage in this 3rd map. And everybody's starting to step up. Hobbit's been a decent player over by this A-bomb site. Been that floating voter on the quick rotation. See if Existence can even do any damage in this one. Remember, this money is starting to bolster up for Gambit. Axel, $7,400. I wonder if he's even died this half. Can't think of a time when he has. I guess the pistol, but as of then, he's been pretty consistent over by B. And who else would you want towards this side of the map? The man on Mirage, who found 35 frags. That's pretty substantial. The only reason that they're really in this series. Still, 50 seconds. The pistol's about to approach, and Gambit seem to have a pretty solid read on the situation. Yes, Nafni gets fully blasted down to 9 HP, but still with Shiro Zorp at the ready, and the smoke's placed. He's actually going to trade up the AWP to Nafni here. Bogdan's Law. Shiro is just going to open up with a spray. He meets more than he expected, perhaps. And with that secondary kill coming through, there's a beautiful collateral. Doesn't have the HP to work with, but certainly the bullets to find all 4 of those closing frags. And that's why Bogdan's Law stands up, boys and girls. Get out your encyclopedias and your history books, because it's a real thing. Here we go. Bogdan's Law, full effect. Boom. Bogdan. Even finding the 4th. Lovely stuff. Gets Gambit youngsters up to 9 rounds here on Vertigo. Opportunity for double digits up against the rifles, where Existence are stuck in this eco cycle right here, where they can only get 1 buy in a row, and then they're actually failing to get the 2nd. Nice opening as Nafni decides to take the aggressive stance once more without really having the support of Shiro, Hobbit on this A site. I feel like he does need the support there from ramp if he is going to be playing aggressive, but as of now, it has worked out for him. The other thing to note is on Overpass, it was Refresh and Nodios doing loads of damage on this T side. And with that trade coming through, there's no longer a big advantage for these Ts. Already getting Hobbit back into the sandbags position. I don't know the purpose of that smoke grenade. Maybe just to give him a little bit of space inwards. Gambit youngsters stretched very thin once again. Axel wants to hold down the line with this very thin affair. If he can hit 1 headshot on the entry, then that might just be enough. And with the smokes going away, he'll radio in for reinforcements and have to hit some shots with this M4A4. He comes up with nothing. So Shiro's the 2nd man to meet the challenge. And back with the AWP in hand, drops the bomb in no man's land. That's in the complete open. Unable to be defended by this Gambit youngsters side. There's a nade to try and gain the cross. But as this C4 goes down and over, Hector's misses a key shot. And Shiro can pipe in from the back. He's being challenged from all sides. They need to eliminate Hector's right now. There's another whiff. And up to 10 for Gambit youngsters. Closing that distance, that score gap from 9 to just 3. Here on our 3rd and final map of this quarterfinal. wouldn't this be devastating? For Existence if they manage to blunder this one. Just showing how much work is needed on this T side especially. I think the CT sides have actually been really sturdy thus far today. On Overpass, starting us off with a nice 9 rounds, then just controlling the economy to finish off that map. For Mirage, it was 7 rounds. It wasn't the best of performances, but it wasn't their map. It's not turf that they're necessarily comfortable on. Shiro AWP in hand. Pretty much you'd always want him holding, and that's exactly why taking the main man himself, Hector's out of the server. Hector's has really gone quiet here on Vertigo, and everybody else getting completely shot away. 3 quick kills. I'm sure we'll see a replay of that one after. Leaving just Refresh in an impossible 1 versus 5 once again. And what a change of pace in this third and final map. Feels like Existence are just not down on their luck, but with no strategy in hand. They're getting completely crushed by just individual plays from GAMBIT and realistically just tactical fortitude, especially over by that A bomb site. The rotates have been really stubborn for GAMBIT. They've been playing a 2-2 setup, whereas a lot of the time I'd be expecting them to keep Axel on his lonesome on that B site, but this is quite the comeback. And what does Refresh do? I guess he goes for it, tries to do some damage. The GAMBIT youngsters' economy isn't just firing out of control as of this point, but he's going to have to peek into this triple stack. They're all holding the C4 down and away. And there's still another Molotov on Shiro, albeit towards the other side of the map. Refresh takes another 35 damage, almost dying to that Molotov. 1 tick away from death. And there's Inters to pepper through that smoke. 13-11. I'm counting down this scoreline from a gap of 9 to a gap of 2, and this was the man to do it on Mirage as he steps up again with a massive triple kill and all headshots. Just galore all over the server. Sentry grenades down and away, just to stop any prompt of a rush. I'm surprised that Existence haven't tried to turn the pace up as of this point. They might as of finding that opening frag, and with Inters missing that spray away, that does give a bit of an opportunity to the Pistols. It at least salvages an AWP for their troubles, and there's Hobbit to fall as well. Leaves this map very vulnerable to GAMBIT youngsters, and an open opportunity for round number 14 for Existence. Let's see if they can capitalize. I'd love to see these T's hunker down. Yes, playing Refresh somewhere awkward in the map, but he needs to rejoin his teammates now and take ramp control for the A take, which I really don't think GAMBIT are ready and waiting for. They've gone for the A stack and Existence heading towards B. They've completely misread this situation. This is a great read once again. And as those nades fall on the B bomb site, GAMBIT, surely they're going to realize this one. They've got plenty of money, so I guess this is a bit of a dilemma whether they go for this or not. Existence paranoid about those smokes, but it's a 3 versus 5. I guess you don't want to pointlessly throw away rifles, especially at this point in the series. This is probably the better bet, in all fairness. (14-11). And this is why that first half was so scary, that Existence, this might only be their second round this half, but they're still precariously close to this finish line. You're on Vertigo. Now overtime, a real decent possibility. One away from series points. This T-side has been a real problem maker, and GAMBIT ensuring that they've got pretty decent money into at least the next 2 rounds adds even more insult to injury for Existence, as they've got to break the bye not once more but twice. Axel still $11,000 in his back pocket. He's barely had to buy this whole half. I'd love to see how many deaths Axel actually has this half. He's got 17 in total, but I really don't think many of those are on the second side. It's an important opener. Molotov's drop. Refresh is just holding this very aggressive angle. I'd love to see Existence go for some sort of gimmicky play, maybe a double boost towards the B site. It's very possible. We actually saw NIP go for the same sort of double boost the other day. MIBR did one towards both stairs and the wooden railings. Axel just to hold up the angle as Shiro falls to Refresh. That gives away the game on the A site, and I don't know if this is going to force the rotate off and away. There still is a double defense towards this side of the map. Yes, Hobbit, he's rotated back in passive, but as he spots nothing towards the pointy letter, they can keep up these rotations. No Dios, he finds everything. A pair of further headshots, and that might just end the series. Hobbit, a 1 versus 5. He's certainly going to save the M4A4. And GAMBIT youngsters, they've got one more chance to stay alive. Hobbit doesn't do that here in round number 26. But they need to take 4 out of 4. This will be a full buy. And it's been a long time coming for Existence to find some successes on this T side. But it's the rounds that really matter. And wow. I was almost expecting the comeback. I was almost predicting the comeback at this point. And realistically, Existence now just 1 out of 4 rounds away. This is where the pressure starts to set in. Semi-finals on the line. AWP in play for Hector's. He's had a massive series, a bit of a quiet Vertigo. Needs to do something here in one of the final rounds. Maybe an opening might push them over the top. 90 seconds. Hobbit, a very aggressive angle, ballsy play, and he doesn't have much support from Nafany. Needs to hit the shots, but where's the backtrack angle? What's his fallback plan? Is he really going to fall behind the sandbags as soon as he hits the first? I've got a feeling that he would get instantly traded, and I like the fact that he falls off that pretty bad position. Obviously not very powerful. Before the storm, absolute silence for Existence as they want to target this A site. It's not been massively successful, but this time GAMBIT, they've put another towards B. It's Shiro as the floating voter who was usually holding the A defense. He needs to hightail his way in right here, right now, and he has got the angle posted. So when Existence do finally find the kahunas to go for this aggressive play, they're going to meet and greet 4 players on this A site. Only the 1-for-1 trade. Shiro does drop. Things start to get dangerous, but GAMBIT youngsters do have the rotates all the way here. Yes, Axel's still the floating voter halfway between the B site, but with only 10 seconds left, they've got to get this bomb down right now. There's no utility to stop this from GAMBIT. They have to go in for these kills. It's not happening. Axel also drops, and Existence somehow ends things 16-11, and what a series from them, playing lights out from the start of over